Hello.
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 We are here. We're going to do our Rhinebeck recap.
Welcome to Knitting a
Month
Good
later.
Yarn podcast.
Hello.
My name is Jackie.
I'm Carmen.
And it's a full moon today, so it's going to be interesting.
So we don't have Lily with us today.
No, she's at the groomer. She's getting her hair did.
Oh, cutie. But that's not to say that we're not going to have some craziness because Pizza is
having a full moon day.
Yeah, he is. Zoomies all around, whining, you know.
A sweet dog. He's like wandering around the backyard now. Yeah. If this is your first time here,
welcome.
This is Knitting a Good Yarn podcast. I think I already said that. We introduced ourselves. We're coming from Southern Ontario. And this is a knitty, fibery, chatty,
very chatty,
chaotic, generally speaking, upwards of 2 hours podcast. So welcome.
Upwards. Prepare yourself.
Actually, as I look around, I'm like, oh dang.
We've been pretty consistently doing about 3.
It's true. It's true.
But you never know.
You never know.
Because we just flow along and we just talk as it comes. And one thing that people have said is that it feels like right now this camera, we're sitting at my like kitchen table and it feels for people that they're like sitting on the other side of it. And that's how we feel. So, you know, like if you're like sitting around with friends, you don't have like a whole plan for like, what am I going to do? When am I going to talk about this or that? That's our kind of
flow.
Way of doing it.
And part of that also is because we have intentionally not amassed the skill of editing.
Yes.
And so it's like a one-shot sort of thing. That said, if there's something that we forget in terms of something that we are sharing about any of the like producers or the yarn or the patterns, you can find that in the show notes. And often the show notes have more information than what we say out loud because we forget. And then I'm like,
accurate stuff.
Yeah. So if you would like additional stuff, you can always do that and find that in the little drop-down box.
I feel like this was the most professional start we've had. Not from my side, but from your side. Look at you. Usually we're like, oh, by the way, we're here. This is me. This is what our podcast is called. Oh, there's that thing, the drop down. But look at now you guys know everything. You're like set.
Yes. Is there anything else that you need to know about us?
No.
No.
We're very basic. We like wool. We like to talk about wool. We like fiber. Done. That's
So, okay.
I know.
You know when you actually, I'm having this like moment of like reliving Rhinebeck where I'm just like, there's so much and everything is so beautiful and I don't even know where to begin.
Where do we begin?
This.
Well, this and this. So I will say too, we've been in like a mode of like twin knitting.
Yeah.
Like we've got a lot of like multiples
right
of things. So, so you're welcome. You're going to get to see like different versions, different colors of the same thing.
Same thing.
So I introduced this before.
Yeah.
So it is done. This is my Turtle Dove Cardi by the unbelievable Melissa Clulow of Sonder Yarn. Oh my god. Oh my god, guys. Like, really? I posted this on Instagram that I'm like, this is the perfect sweater. Like, it's just, like, look at the drape. It's so easy. Just throw it on over everything. I wear this over dresses. I wear it over, like, pants, like, shirts, whatever. It's amazing. It's amazing. So what is it? I always say, you know, you don't mess with perfection. Yeah. So I like literally just did Melissa's original. Like this is what she did it. So it's in Sonder yarn, in wildwood. Wildwood is, I think, what?
Yes.
Yes. And boreal.
Yes.
So it's, what it is the wildwood is a fingering.
Sunday morning 4-ply.
Fingering weight.
BFL, it's 75% BFL, 25% mass.
Right, and non-superwash. And then it's 2 strands of her gorgeous mohair. And we have talked before, so I'm not going to go on and on about it, but there just do seem to be differences in mohair from different companies, different things. And I used to think it had to do with the count of like the proportion of the mohair versus silk, because I know that I really do like the 60% mohair, 40% silk, but it's not always the case because this one is 74-26, I think. And oh, it's just amazing. So
well, if you think about it from like a like being spinners, right? Like every fleece is different. How it's like produced is different. Like there are all these pieces that we don't know when we pick it up in a skein that makes a difference. Yeah. And it's true. But
it does. But this one stays consistent though. Like we've had a lot of the like all the mohair from Melissa from Sonder Yarn has been just this. Yeah. It's wonderful. And there's just I don't know. There's something about the two. It's squishier.
I like the. I don't know if you can see on the screen the glow. Yes. Like it glows. Like it's this beautiful neutral green. Yeah. But it feels like it's glowing from the inside. And I feel like part of that part of that is for sure the mohair. And the other part of that I think is the combination of the like two greens, which were not a perfect match. Like if you go back to our previous episode, Carmen showed this as a whip and she like held up the what was left and it's close but not quite close.
I would even say like it's close, but it's not that close because it's more of a like sagey, like the wildwood feels more of like a sagey, it's a lighter green, and then the boreal is a darker, and then it's darker even than this, and so then
it comes out beautifully. I think what I'm realizing or recognizing for me in terms of mohair is that I think my favorite mohair combinations are like a light, like whatever your non-mohair is, that one is lighter and the mohair is darker. Whereas I feel like often a lot of the stuff a lot of like the mohair pairings that I have done have been the other way around, where it's like the mane is darker or more saturated than the mohair like lightens it up, which creates like a really nice marl. But like this, I think that's part of it. As I look at it, it's like so dynamic. Oh my God, it feels so nice.
It's so nice. And look at, I mean, for those who have watched our episodes, who am I? Look at the drop. I'm usually one, as you'll see in my other sweaters, like that. Usually I like a fitted kind of shoulder, and don't do this whole like dolman
deep
raglan.
And how do you feel?
I love it. Well, does it look like I love it? I haven't even blocked this. I asked Jackie to bring her little steamer over this morning just so I could get this like blocked a little bit better, but I just don't even want to take it off like to block it. I wear it all the time, the time.
I also feel like it's perfect. And in my mind, you know, sometimes, and because of the like drape of that like BFL Massim, that like Sunday morning, which is my, it's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's so good. I've been working with it. And a number of different projects, and I'm just like, I love it so much. Yes. And I feel like it has a beautiful drape, and then you add the 2 strands of mohair. And in my head, this combination, I wonder if you wet blocked it, if it would grow.
I think it would.
And it has such beautiful movement already. Yes. Like the movement.
And spring, like, do you see? It's not just flat. It springs up a bit.
It's perfect. It's just as perfect. And I it's like, does it need to be blocked?
I'm not planning to,
right? Like because when the fit is perfect and everything is perfect. I mean, I didn't even realize that it was unblocked. Like when I came in and looked at it, you could never tell. Like, way to go on your like perfect stitches.
I don't have perfect stitches, but
and there's no rowing out or anything.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, that's right. Because because it is back and forth. Yeah. But there's some wool that just does that. It just does it perfectly. You know, and I feel like this was one. I also like, you know, when you, I was watching a talk yesterday, and the person was talking about things that we like, and that we can. It's interesting. There's things that we like, and then there's also an aspirational part of what we like, like so that it's kind of. They were talking about music. So like a musician that you like, part of it is the music. You do love the music, but part of it is that you want to be the person that loves that music. Like, I'm a person that loves this person's music, which is so interesting, right?
Yeah.
And that what comes along with that also is then the people, if you have a connection with that music, that becomes what you like. more than even just the music itself. So I feel in some ways, like I'm just reflecting on it now, that that's what it feels like to me with this, because when I was knitting it, I also like, I have the like great fortune of knowing Melissa, like we know Melissa, and so it felt extra like to use her wool and knit her pattern, and like I had done the Fleur shawl, you know, like I was just, and the was it the Kiss? I can't remember.
Yeah, the Kiss.
Yeah, just feeling really connected. So
yeah,
I think all of that went into the perfect stitches as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
I love it.
I covet it. I'm sitting here being like,
oh, yeah. Well, we're going to talk about yours. Ooh, that's very, I've left the door open a little bit because it's, okay. We have just talked about, this is, at first, I thought it was the perfect, well, it is. It's the perfect temperature, but it is quite warm.
it's warm.
Like right now, I'm like,
mohair is warm.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a warm one, but also great. Right? Like if you're gonna wear a sweater. Oh, sorry, pizza's coming back. 1 second.
It's super windy out. I don't know if you guys can actually hear this, and it's like blowing the door.
I will figure out with my notes, but I did model, not very much. I followed the things, but I did extend the sleeves longer. And I'm pretty sure I did the body longer as well. I have a longer torso, so I generally actually have to do that anyway. But I still had, even making it larger. Oh, and I did size 2.
You did size 2.
Size 2. And I still had, I could weigh it, but I'm pretty sure that I could have gotten away with just 1 skein of the mohair.
Just 1 skein.
Like, so it's 2 skeins of the mohair.
No, wait.
4
skeins.
Sorry.
Hang on. 100 grams of mohair. You need 50 in the pattern.
So you need 3, I think.
Yes, you do need 3.
3.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yes. I mean, I always think it's better to go over just in case, and then you have flexibility, but I did extend it. I made it larger, and I could weigh it, but I'm pretty sure that I have about the equivalent of...
Okay. Hang on.
I'm trying to think about this. It was
really
a lot less than I thought.
Let's talk about the pattern. Let's talk about the pattern. Hang on.
I'm so glad that Jackie's here. She like keeps us on track.
We help each other because you get to chat, and while you're chatting, I'm like, oh, light bulb. Ooh, light bulb.
I almost want to run up and get them because they're just
things?
really. I had so much left of my second.
This was this knit for. Okay, I'm actually looking at the pattern. Let's not. Okay, so the pattern suggests that for the first 2 sizes, so I knit size 1 and Carmen knit size 2, you need basically 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn, and then 2 skeins, 50 grams of mohair for each mohair strand, because it's like a fingering plus a mohair, right? No.
Well,
you need 2 skeins of fingering and then 200 grams of mohair.
Yes.
So 100 grams, and we're saying 2 because the mohair from Sondigar & Co. comes in like 50 grams.
Yes.
As opposed to like other mohairs. This is what I'm trying to like get the weight.
Trying to think
right?
this.
That said, myself as well, I had I used about 75 grams per mohair.
So you used about 150 grams of
mohair. Of mohair in total. So there's like 50 grams left over, which is what I expect you probably have left over.
I feel like I have a little more than that even.
Possibly.
But yes, exactly.
So
you could get away with 3.
So so if you were buying mohair in 25 gram amounts, you could get away with 3. You could get away with 3.
50s. In 50s, you could get away with 3. In 25s, you could get away with maybe even, because that in 25s, you'd have to be like 6 or maybe 5. Who cares? Like, why are we even talking about this?
I
spend 10 minutes not giving any information because we don't even have it to base it on 1 size or 2 sizes from a particular yarn company. So Sorry. Folks.
Sorry.
Sometimes we try to help.
We get stuck. This is why. Like, I have so much respect. I have so much respect for the podcasters who are like, have it like the designer pops up and then their like yardage pops up and all that kind of stuff. And like, we do what we can. Like, we will include our yardage. Like, we'll weigh and it will be in the show notes. That said, it really depends on your side. What I will say is amazing about this pattern, in my like part of what makes it amazing is the is how light it is, because you're doing a fingering and then 2 mohair, and the pattern gauge, like the suggested needle size in the pattern is a US size 9, and the gauge is 16 stitches by 21 rows.
And 9 is what, 5.5?
5.5. Yeah, so you end up with this like open, like drapey fabric, like, right? And
it goes so fast.
And it goes super fast.
And it's so
and there's no finishing. Like all the hem is done. Like all the ribbing is like done while you're knitting it, so you don't have to like pick up a button band. And I think, you know, so it makes the finishing like absolutely perfect, because there's like basically, you don't have like awkward places where you have to think about like, okay, how many do I have to pick up and what's the weight and all that kind of stuff. And this is how I start. I'm finally getting to the point. And it's so warm.
It's so warm.
Like I've not knit in this combination before, and every time it's so light, it's so like airy, and then I very often like put it on and I'm it's so hot. Like,
it's hot.
It is hot.
But I often, you know, I have been, so I'm reflecting on this because I've been wearing it all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like at this exact moment I'm hotter than I normally am, but
because I'm here.
Maybe that's I've got a little hottie beside me, so radiating. But yeah. Anyway, it's amazing. It's amazing. Everyone should knit this.
I actually think everyone should knit this.
I really do.
And it's just the perfect.
You won't regret it.
I'm already planning like how many different versions, except I really, really would like a Sonder version. And the mohair is not arrived yet, but it is arriving. Like mohair is returning. It's returning. I don't know if it's on its way, but I know if you went into the shop right now that there is not much, but I know that Melissa's working on getting mohair, and so I'm so tempted. If you've been here for a while, I knit everything twice.
Oh, she does.
Not everything, but like most things
I would
twice.
Knit this one again.
And I would love to knit this, like my second version. I would really love to be doing like the full Sonder experience.
Do you know
and
what
with
I just
the darker
realized?
mohair.
Yes. As I just pulled this over, I think part of what I love is the way I wear shawls, right? Is over my shoulders and and I just realized that's what this does too. Yeah. Like I just sitting around.
I also feel like there's something incredibly that feels easy and elegant about a deep raglan.
It's true.
Like I like that silhouette, but I think part of it is that it feels shawl-ish.
It does.
Like your garment, I feel like the garment feels and moves kind of like a shawl with that like that like dance in a way that like, you know, a really beautiful perfectly fitted sort of less ease sweater, it just doesn't have that like romantic, I don't know.
I agree.
And we've talked about we've waxed nostalgic about how much both of us are just like drinking in like Melissa's aesthetic right now. Particularly as both of us are like knitting for like work situations.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Looking for something that is hand knit and that also doesn't look like, you know, cozy cottage like sweater vibes.
Yes.
Right? And Melissa's like being is that she's just like got that, it's that perfect, you know, it's simple, it's easy, but it's also like elegant and refined. And there's something about this that I think, depending on the color, like when I look at yours, it's so like evening. It's so in a way that is just different from mine because of color selection.
I would find yours very evening too. Like, which we need to move to yours.
Oh, yes. All right.
We haven't talked about it.
Yeah.
By the way, I did want to say this pattern is from line
oh, yes, that's right.
19?
18.
18. The most recent one. This is the fall one.
Yes. Oh, and last episode, we were all like, we don't, like, Carmen had knit it had already cast it on and was a little bit confused about the instructions. And,
oh, yes.
After I saw her cast it on, I like had no chill and couldn't wait and cast it on literally that evening and went through the instructions as well and was like very confused about just like there were a couple of things.
Yeah.
That said, we let Melissa know. Melissa was amazing and immediately cast on to check it out. Even though it was like tested, etc., and she's added errata. So what I want to say is that there's actually nothing incorrect about the pattern, the way that it's written.
Right.
What is confusing about the way that it's written in the pattern is how you work the short rows and whether the short rows, because normally short rows, you kind of go back and forth, right? You go back and forth, and depending on the pattern, the short rows sort of come to a certain distance, like in the front of your sweater. So in line 18, the way that it's written for the smallest sizes, the short rows come into the ribbing. And so that's what we were confused about. But there's errata now if you're in size 1 or 2. All the rest of the sizes are perfect. So I just wanted to like let you know about that. So this is my version.
Gorgeous. See, this is very classy to me. Like I could see this with a cute little like white pants.
It's so like, you know what I think it is? I think actually it's the ratio of the really deep raglan and like the shorter body. When I look at it from behind, it reminds me of like a bomber jacket.
Yeah, okay.
Except the front is not like I think a bomber is being like a bit sporty, like it's a little bit like casual, but it's like it has that sort of bomberish silhouette.
Okay, I see where you're coming from.
But
if you had like a silk top, let's say you have a white, creamy white silk top underneath, and then like white, pants, trousers, and things.
It is
heels.
perfect.
Gorgeous.
It's just the perfect cardigan. So I knit mine. My fingering was the Sunday morning 4-ply in window shopping. And then I used Mohair from Stash. I used Drops Kidsilk in the colorway Chalk and Moonshine, I think. So these three together.
Beautiful.
Made this color. I love it. And when I touch this, there is a very, very big difference. Yeah. So the Kidsilk, the drops, I mean, it was deep stash. It was from like the beginning of my knitting and it was on like a super sale. And I was like, I will forever be using these colors. So I just like had a bunch.
Absolutely. And it's gorgeous.
And it's gorgeous.
And it is beautiful. Like
it's $74.26.
Right.
But the feel of it, and I think yours might be your gauge might be a little bit bigger.
Yes.
Like I knit mine on a 9. I did not make, the only modification that I made was I made the body half an inch shorter because I'm more petite. Otherwise, everything exactly the same.
Beautiful.
I live in this. I live in this. Yes. And I think now did you do the crochet thing? So there's a additional instruction to crochet chain, which lifts the neckline. I think it if you look at the other versions, like people, you can wear it sort of, both you and I wear it a similar way. We sort of wear it kind of like drapey off shoulder. And so because I kind of liked that, I didn't want it to sort of perk up. Yeah. But you can see that in some testers versions, it sits more like that, which is also beautiful, but less my aesthetic. Right. I do, for me, love this, the drapiness. I feel like often it's I want it just here. If that makes sense.
Which it usually falls to, right? It kind of just does its thing. I think if you were to do the crochet chain thing, it would come up like this, right? Yeah. And so that's another option. Which is also very beautiful. Which is also really beautiful, but I tend to want it more off the shouldery kind of thing. And we've talked here about sort of cardigan necklines and a round neck cardigan or a V-neck cardigan. For me, this is it's a perfect, actually let me let it just find its way. Because what I notice is I wear a lot of crew neck tees or muscle tees or tank tops, and the way that this sort of meets is perfect. Oh yeah. It does a nice little round. Yeah. Perfectly. It does. Without the like flopping open.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like enough.
Like, you know, twisted rib. All of this twisted rib is just so perfect. It's so good. Okay.
So perfect.
25 minutes.
Worth it.
Totally worth
And it's 2. We did 2. I feel like we should do like a screen, you know, like we always have to look for those little like shots at the end, you know, like to try to put on our YouTube thing. And I'm like, we should like pose with these because these are so gorgeous.
Can I try yours? Yes, I promise I'll give it back.
It's going to, you're going to swim in it, and this will be my little bolero as usual. Oh, it's so cute!
Oh,
I know. Oh, this is very different. Like it's just, yeah, it doesn't have the same. Ooh. But see, like I think it with a little dress.
It still works.
It totally does.
It still works, and this still works.
Oh, Pete.
Pizza.
Oh, he's literally looking at us and telling us this. Do you like it? Do you think they're cute?
Oh my gosh, it feels amazing. You did a size 2. So you did a size 2. You must have longer arms than I do. Like
I definitely have
extended
longer
and
arms.
then no, sorry.
That's for sure.
That's for sure. But in terms of the sweater,
I did. So yeah, as I said, I extended the arms and I made this one longer.
yeah.
Yeah, which I always have to do.
I'm gonna run.
I know where she lives, folks. She can't get far.
Oh my gosh.
This is so cute. I actually like. Could you? I don't even understand what the problem is.
Pizza.
What the heck?
Hey.
Anyway.
Oh my god, that coloring was
I
also
was
so
gonna
good.
say I really love this color. I love that on you too.
Thank you.
But not enough to give it to you. Especially when you can just make your own. This is one thing about. So if you have been with us for a long time, and I'm probably even today, I don't know if there's been an episode that hasn't had Nutiden as a part of it.
Yeah.
We love Nutiden so much. The one thing about Nutiden is that I guess I should say what Nutiden is. Well, you know, or go look.
It's an unspun wool from Sweden.
But it's released in collections that are never repeated.
Yes.
So when you knit something, it's like that's it.
Yeah.
But you all could have this. All of you. Well, once it comes back in.
Once the mohair comes back.
Yeah. And you can have this too.
Oh.
I can make this.
Oh.
You can make that.
It's true.
That's
It is very satisfying.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel like I don't actually have to run out the door
Good.
with your knits.
Well, that's good for your health.
To be constantly thinking about how to rob you of your items.
Well, it goes both ways. I mean, I have certainly many times been like, see,
Bye.
I'm just gonna head this direction.
That is so lovely. I love that. See, when I see the cropped one on you, I feel like it is so beautiful.
I find this very elegant.
Yeah,
like
I was thinking
probably more
black one?
work. Yeah, like more work appropriate. This one
Really?
even than, well, just the way that this is to
Yeah.
me, like it's
Like a little blazer.
It's a little
blazery. Oh,
Ooh,
like in black.
black would be perfect. Everything's in perfect. Like, I mean, I would do this. I would do this. I would just do a million of them.
You can really see the halo on this one. Just if you look at the shot right now.
Yes. Although some of that's my hair. Yeah, look at that.
Look at that halo. I mean, it's so.
I know. Everybody's like, could you just go on
Yeah.
now, girls?
Sit
So
on
this
this
is
for a
what I
while.
mean. Okay, so the typical podcast, the typical knitting podcast, many are about this long. Like, and in about half an hour. And in that time, they go through finished objects, whips, dream knitting, acquisitions, and they talk a little bit about their life. And that's all there.
Yeah. I was actually thinking, you know how like we often as makers have like talk about the spectrum that's like, are you into the like product or are you in the process, right? And we sort of move along that spectrum. I'm definitely more towards process, and I think you have some knits that are definitely product. Like you can product knit.
Yes, I can.
And you can also you also process knit.
Yes.
But when it comes to our podcast, it's like entirely process, not product.
Yeah.
Like it's just like let's just talk about the process. Like
I know, and yet at the end of it, I'm always so happy with it. It's like, aw.
and I'm like, there are chapters. There are chapters.
Oh yes, that's one thing. Oh, Jackie, jeez, didn't have that in your intro. Okay, so Jackie does go through and she makes the little chapters too, so you're going to be able to like skip ahead.
Yeah, to go from sort of project to project, and this was one of your wonderful recommendations of being like,
Yes.
so I don't have 5 hours to watch you all in one go. And before we had chapters, it's like I have to like find you to like where we
Yes,
are.
where
So the
are
chapters
we?
are just for you to be able to navigate like the various things that we talk about, but also for you to have like built-in breaks
Yes.
for like
We
food
don't
and
expect
water.
that you're probably going to watch like the whole thing right at once, but maybe you will. Some people do.
Some people do.
It's fun.
I mean, if I had like the evening to do that, and like, I
I
mean, let's
do.
be
I
honest,
rewatched it.
I do like a abbreviated rewatch to do all the show notes for y'all, and then but there are definitely evenings that I'm just like binging podcasts, and they're
100%.
not. It's not like 3 hours for one episode because other people are reasonable, but I could sit there for like easily 3 hours, just like watching all my friends.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like, if you are at a good dinner party, how long do you want that dinner party to be? 30 minutes?
No. No, you don't, do you? You want to hear us go on and spend 5 minutes talking about the fact that we're spending all this time.
True.
Love it. I feel like I'm very meta today. I feel like I'm like, like thinking about our There's lots of me talking about the way that we do our podcast for some reason.
It's all about process.
It is? Right. Okay, you did just say that. Listening.
Also, I feel like because we are very different, but also incredibly similar, you say something and I'm like, yeah. And so we say everything like 3 times.
That's true.
We do. In case you missed
Thank
it.
you, all of you who watch us and stay and love us for all of who we really are, because this is literally us.
In case you missed it, we love the Turtle Dove Cardigan from my Luxe Clulow.
In case you didn't.
It's Sonder Yarn Co., which we also love. Again.
There.
I mean, heck, we spend so much time knitting,
True.
you know?
Yeah, it is true.
Um,
And I mean, I know you guys get it because you feel the same, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the people, I know that the people who are part of our podcast who watch us, like, are similar, right? And I know, well, maybe that's a good segue to Rhinebeck, because I
Yes.
know this now for sure,
Oh my
because we
gosh.
actually met some of you. What? It's like we have no words. Like that experience of meeting, and I mean, I do know we have so many people that couldn't go to Rhinebeck, so we know, like, but just this small sample of you that we got to meet in person, that was beyond. I can't describe it. Like, it was like a joining together of people that I felt like we knew. And you guys feel like you know us. I mean, you know us a little bit more than we know you.
You spent like collectively how many episodes is this times 3 hours?
Many
60 hours together.
We don't unfortunately get to totally see.
But that was the point.
Yeah.
Like for me, that was the point. Like for because I feel like we're so lucky because we have each other.
Yes.
Like and I think part of the reason why it's so challenging for us to, I mean, we never try half an hour, but for us to like move through stuff is that like we're chatting and we're interacting, and but really like there's a lot of us interacting with each other on camera and then interacting with you, and you're also generous with like your comments and your messages and that kind of thing. But to get to feel like your presence and to be able to like receive in real life and touch your knits and give you a hug. It really made the Rhinebeck experience for me. Like hands down.
Hands down.
I mean, we'll talk about Rhinebeck and we have acquisitions and we're probably not going to do it in an organized manner. We'll just, hi, sweetie, I know. I know. So we'll share some of our Rhinebeck pieces, but I do want to take a moment to just acknowledge like that y'all made our Rhinebeck experience, like without a doubt. We showed up. Where did we show? Like we showed up, and we're just so like there are like thousands of people at Rhinebeck. And we're like not, I mean, we have a beautiful community, but we're not Andrea Mowry.
No.
Right?
No.
But you know what blew me away is everywhere we went, like we would go into something and invariably there would be this like, amongst the like 10,000 people who were milling around in this giant festival, like we somehow would find ourselves bumping into somebody that we knew, or you would find us. Like it was just like, I know that theoretically there were like 10,000 people there.
Yes.
But to me, it felt like, how are we landing? Like not even at booths, right? Like not even at like, okay, we're at the Lamb and Kid and that's why we're meeting everybody. I mean, that did happen, but literally the walkways.
Yes, like places where we have no idea.
No, and so like, thank you for like coming up to us and for showing us your love and your love for your knitting and being so excited about sharing stuff. And the one piece that I will say about Rhinebeck, one of you wrote in the comments before we left, like, you'll love it. It's a giant fashion show. And it is. Like, it really is. There's something about seeing knits in motion.
Yes.
Right? And like, you're wonderful about doing finished object photos. It is not one of my things that I invest energy into. And it's really beautiful to sort of the people who curate these like beautiful flat lays and there's like the perfect flower and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And that's really beautiful. But for me, like watching people move with their knits is amazing. And so that's like something that I was like, we should stand up and move in our knits like in this. And I appreciate, you know, when we switch to like be able to stand up so that you can actually see how things fall and drape and move, because it really does change a garment for me.
Absolutely.
Right? And to be able to like watch people embody their knits, like that was the other piece, is like there are beautiful pieces and then there's like beautiful pieces on people and then to also, you know, like you want to dial up the beauty, have somebody share about it. Right?
Yes.
Like
that enthusiasm, the energy that's been put into it, like the pride of, you know, creation. Yeah. And then that sharing. I think there's also something about knitting that feels like when people like a sweater that I've made in regular life, I'm always like, well, you can make it too. Like there is this piece of like, it's art that I've made, but it's not just mine. Yeah. There's an option for others to make it too, you know? And I just think that's really beautiful. And so when you watch and you meet with other people and they're wearing their knits, there is something even more like delectable about the knit because of the energy and the beautiful love that that's been put in every stitch.
There's also like the self-ownership, right? I feel like I notice this when I knit. Every knit sort of has a aesthetic or an energy or like a feeling, and like as you work stitch by stitch, I think that you're receiving that, right? And in what you were saying in terms of like aspiration, it's like you're soaking up that aspiration the whole time that you're in the process, and then when it's complete, it's kind of like it goes from aspiration into like being, like you've actually like manifested the like thing, which is so magic, right?
Nothing less than magic.
And particularly nice when you can see something that you think is beautiful on somebody, and then you know that you too can have something like that, right? Yes. Whether it's literally this exact combination or whether it's something about them and that knit that's aspirational.
Yes. Right. Like, and how would you change it to be your aspirational?
It's that self-ownership, right? It's that like self-honoring, and it's art. It is art.
100%.
It's a giant art festival.
Of course it is. But a collaborative art.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like an artist creating something in the pattern, and then the yarn, the wool, like we're working with, and the people growing the sheep, like all of that stuff is art. Yeah. And then but it's art for the people, right? Like we can then take the art and make our own art from it.
And you're
collective art
with your own materials and like with what's available for you and what you love. Like,
I love love it.
You know? And that's the piece that I was really aware of actually at Rhinebeck was this process of being like, I saw this knit, I saw this sample, I love the sample. Now I should just copy and paste that sample onto me. And then the recognition that no, like if I just copy paste it, it's not gonna work. Right?
Maybe.
Well, some of them will work.
I kind of copy pasted.
Some of them will work, but some of them, like sometimes the beauty is that knit those colors on that person and how they're owning it.
Yeah.
And when you remove all of the pieces that are about that person in that moment and how they feel about it, and you're left with color and shape. Sometimes color, that's what I realized, right? That
it's not
always about color and shape.
Absolutely.
Like there's so much of it that is more than color and shape.
Yes.
Right?
And this, I think, there's maybe one thing that's coming, or that what's coming to me here about that is this curious then approach we might have.
Yeah.
So like if we come at something and say, I want that. Well, I mean, I wanted that and that was going to happen. I mean, if that thing didn't look good on me, I wouldn't care because I was in love with it so much. But in general, like there is the, ooh, I like this, but then holding that lightly, right?
Yeah.
And being curious about like, as you're doing it, is it working? Really asking yourself. And I think you do that very well. Like you really ask yourself, like, is this exactly what I want? And if it's not, then you shift it.
Yeah.
You know, and like not holding too tightly.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think, you know, it that comes with experience. Like I recognize if there's anybody watching who's like about to knit their first sweater, like if that sounds daunting, I totally understand that, right? Like we've been at this for, I mean, I don't even want to count the number of sweaters, but like a lot. Like we've knit a lot. And so as you knit, you sort of develop a bit of a knowledge, and literally the choice of material and color is a huge choice.
Yes.
Right? Like it's a huge opportunity for you to play and experiment and
I would
be light
say,
about it, right?
But it's almost in both ways, because you also could not make that not a big choice.
Yes.
Right? It can be a big choice if that feels right.
Yeah.
And it cannot be a big choice if that feels right. And it's just like flying along, like just, you know, trusting in it. Be ready. I think one thing that knitting and I know other people have talked about this, but one thing that knitting does is that it like helps you be like humble, but the idea that like there are mistakes that we make, you know, we make mistakes and then we have to rip back. And actually one of the whips I'll show today, it's a constant ripping back to try to make like yarn chicken work. Like I'm having to like change it all the time. But there is something about that, right? And there's a whole part of me that goes, forget it, just finish it off. But I'm like, no, this is part of the process.
Yeah.
It's exciting to do that, but I wouldn't want it all the time. Sometimes I want just
Sometimes you want
one.
a perfect knit where you just follow the pattern, buy the yarn, follow the pattern, and it's perfection. And that's definitely sort of the Turtle Dove card. And I also think it's important for me when I look at like all of the whips that I have, that there's always sort of at least one that's just like
the nice
easy,
hot
like
chocolate
not
one.
not lots of decisions, simple, elegant, timeless, and you can just one stitch after another just to like follow stitch by stitch, and then have this.
Do you know, okay, so we both love yoga. I can sit and think of myself doing a yoga pose and feel calm. Like I'm not doing the yoga pose, just envisioning it. I just had a moment of remembering knitting this particular sweater, and I had this wash over me of like, that was so nice.
Yeah.
Like having it, like I can feel the clink of the needles and like they're bigger. Anyway, we're still talking about this sweater.
We're also talking about Rhinebeck. Do you want to talk about this? Because we sort of started talking about this.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so Carmen's setup. Here we go. Here's the like, what? Carmen can never just show a thing. I've got to set it all up. There's so much to talk about with Rhinebeck. We had just an amazing time there. One of the amazing things we got to do was to actually not bunk with, like be roommates with Lily from Curatorial Knits. If you have not I mean, I'm sure you've probably seen her podcast because it's so amazing. But if you have not, you should go straight there and watch her. She's just wonderful.
We're biased, but we're
biased, but I actually feel like this is an objective assessment. Like I watched Lily, like, and people, so Lily has, you know, people too, and so they would come up and I could just, you know, you can know, like, she's touching others the same way she's touching us. Like, she's wonderful.
It's like, I feel like if you love our community, you will love Lily, and you will love her community, and I'm sure that our, like, the Venn diagram of our communities, there's like
there'd be overlap.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so much to say. We'll come back maybe and talk about Woolen Folk, that whole nightmare that was that. Accessibility wise, I just want to say it was actually painful to be there and to be so, it was so clear how exclusive this was for people and how dangerous it was. And this, at that time when we were there, I wasn't even aware of all of the vendors, the issues for the vendors. Well, it's been a month, you've probably known it, but just know that, like, we were really upset by that. And we are able-bodied, you know, wearing shoes that were able to, like, you know, I was wearing my Docs kind of thing, right? Like, and it was slippery. There was a lot, like, I was finding that difficult to navigate, and we didn't even get into most of Woolen Folk because
we went to 3 stalls.
Yeah.
Okay, like, I also feel like, I mean, we're not the right people to be talking about Woolen Folk because we basically didn't attend it.
I know, even though we were there for like 4 hours.
Yes, we attended it. We were there for 4 hours, but we were for 3.5 of those hours, we were in the Lamb and Kid general area, which was indoors. Towards the, like, basically the later half of the festival. Like, we didn't show up until like 3 or 4 hours in.
You're right.
Right? Like, we got there late because we went to Cake-A-Palooza first. Yeah. And, like, I can tell you about the Lamb and Kid booth. And I can tell you about 2 other places that we sort of, like, stumbled into en route to the Lamb and Kid, which was basically, it wasn't the first building. This is actually the perfect encapsulation of why I am not equipped to talk about Woolen Folk, because I was about to say, oh, it was the first building we went into. No, it's not. There were a bunch of buildings that we could have gone into before we went to the Lamb and Kid, but I didn't even realize that those were buildings that were part of Woolen Folk.
I didn't know either.
We walked in.
Just like, bling, like,
we walked in, we saw somebody we knew, freaked out because they were in 3D.
Oh my
and,
God.
Like, we're not on Instagram. And again, like, this feeling of, like, there were 10,000 people. Yeah. And, like, how is it that we walked in and, like, there's this person right there? And so I feel like we just were, like, little pinballs, and we were just like, someone we know, someone said hi, like someone we know, someone said hi. And I didn't look at any of the vendors. Like, we literally stumbled into one and we're like,
oh, and it was perfection.
It's perfect. And then we spent the rest of the time at Lamb and Kid.
Yes.
Because I thought, oh, here's the first building. No, Jackie, there were like 2 other options to go into. So but funny. like, I don't know, like some sort of like magnetic force brought me into the Lamb and Kid, and then we didn't leave.
We didn't leave because also, like, there were so many people there we knew, right? And so and it was just
we kept encountering people.
Fun place. Which we'll get back to, but I don't want to miss telling this. I don't know why. I think it's a funny story. So, because it's reminding me of this. So we went into this booth first, and we'll talk about the wool we bought there. And you had kind of gone off to do something else, and there was this woman in the booth, and she was wearing this the most gorgeous vest, like Farrah, like gorgeous.
I was behind you.
You were behind me. Oh my God. So I'm like, I just need to tell you, I'm like, your vest is gorgeous. And she goes, oh, thanks. Like,
I designed it.
I designed it. I think she said, I'm designed it. I'm like, you did? Wow. I'm like, you're like, what an amazing, wow. So she goes, yeah, I think she said something. Oh, I see, I'm blanking on it. But I'm like, that is so amazing. She goes, yeah, if you want, I'm going to be releasing it. And I'm like, really? Like, this is so good. I'm like, are you, like, you're going to design? Like, I just thought she was just a random person. So she goes, yeah. And she hands me her card. And I look at it and I go, oh, yes. Oh, yes, this is you. It was Alex Bird. And reflecting back, I'm like, she has such distinctive features. Like, beautiful red hair. Like, the fez. Why? And then I gave her grief. I'm like, yeah, so thanks for your celly and the nightmare that was. She was laughing. She was so sweet. And then she gave me a little pin.
No, I got little pins from her. Like,
but how funny is that? You did? Oh, good for you designing your own sweater. Oh, you're Alex Bird.
I do think the sensory overload of all of the beautiful fiber and all of the people and like, you know, being in like, I actually feel like the whole time that I was there, I was operating with like 10% of the brain cells that I normally do, because I also did this a number of times and was like, went over it, oh my God, I love your sweater, blah, blah, blah. And then I started to note, I had enough brain cells to start to note that these people would be lovely, and they sort of start to like glaze over. And I'm like, oh, you're glazing over because
you're the
designer. And like, I am not, like, like, but
it's like my sheep camp one with the spinsters, like spin cycle.
Yeah, where there were, and you would, like, I started to notice, like, oh, they're going, oh, someone's gonna hand me a pin or a card. And like, I'm a moron. And I felt so bad. I felt so bad about not recognizing people who I know.
Oh, I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like, how many times that happened?
Oh my God.
It was just like, there were no brain cells
No.
to be like, because, you know, the other thing that I also recognized is that I remember sweaters on people. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, when you think about I don't know, when you think about a sweater that you love, do you think about it as a flat lay?
No.
Do you think about the motif? Like, because I think about it specifically, there's a person attached to it.
Yes.
And so there was this like experience of having to put together like the celly, I have a picture of it and somebody wearing it, and that somebody is not the designer.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so there was this like moment of having to like put it together in the same way that I feel like what also happened to us a couple of times is that, you know, we weren't together all, like we were generally in the similar places, but like, you know, Carmen would be over there and like I would be over there. And I'd be a couple of times I was having a conversation with somebody, and then when you came back, it was like it dawned upon people, like, oh my God, like this is Jackie. Wait, and I was like, what if I stand over there? Like, what if I stand on that side?
Wait a minute, you recognize this, but I'm on this side of her.
But like, my memory is very visual.
Yes.
Right, and so I
right?
hope that any of the like makers and designers who we ran into who like I just gushed about what you were wearing and what you made and didn't gush about you and the whole body of what you've created until I realized that, like, I apologize. And also in a way, isn't it wild to think about being a designer, recognizing that, like, to me, designs are art, thinking about like being recognized for your art before being recognized for your persona?
Interesting.
You know, like I had that experience. Like I was wearing my sheep camp and people would comment on my sheep camp, and then it would only be like a couple, like I could see in the facial expression that it's like, oh my God, da, da, da. And then there's this moment where they're like, wait, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, do you have a podcast? I was like, like, and it did, but like, to me, it doesn't matter, right? Like, I don't care. Actually, it was really a gift to be received by you all who like talked about us and our friendship and Carmen's kitchen and like the dogs and all that kind of stuff. And for those interactions where it was kind of like meeting people for the first time and there was no context, like those were really deeply rich and meaningful for me as well, and like deeply inspirational as well, you know? So it's like, is art...
We're like hugging people.
No.
And like really genuinely. Like I'm like, oh my God, you know, like I know your name off Instagram, you know, because some people I hadn't even actually seen their faces. I'd seen their
Yes,
work,
that's
but some
right.
people don't always post their face, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you know?
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I think, you know, for those of you who are, who attending Rhinebeck in real life is not sort of something that's going to happen for you, I actually like, the reason that I wanted to mention it is to just acknowledge the like depth of connection that happens not in real life.
Right.
The depth of connection that happens in like the recognition of art and appreciating creativity.
Yeah.
Like there's a real depth to that, I think. Whether you get to encounter somebody in real life or not. And I think the in real life experience is like a louder expression because you're getting to experience the dimensions of the art that maybe you aren't able to experience on like a 2D sort of screen.
Yeah.
But the reason why it's so nourishing and feels so like is because there's so much in that.
Yeah.
Right, like those moments in getting to meet you is that like knowing that shared experience and that like shared love of fiber and the sort of like this is somebody gets it and that you know we've sort of self-selected that there's a certain set of values that or like ways of seeing the world or experiencing the world that lead us into the fiber arts, and so there's just something about that was so juicy and like amazing. Like I remember I had a moment where I just like we were at the Dutchess County Fairgrounds at New York Sheep and Wool, like the official New York Sheep and Wool, and I don't think I was talking to anybody. I was just like looking around, and it was just like a sea of sweaters and a sea of people, and I was just like that there are this many people in this moment who are sharing in this love at the same time.
Yes.
Like I was like like heart exploded, brain exploded. And I think that was what it was about the experience, was just like the intensity of it. And admittedly, like I came home and I was like, what is life even? Like I came home.
Did you think we were gonna get that deep? Wow. What is life, Jackie? I think we should talk about what life is for another hour. But no, I see what you mean.
I mean, I came home and I'm like,
whoa.
Where are the people?
Right.
Where are the sweaters?
Right.
Where are the hugs? Like, you
when,
know,
when do we get to go back?
I know.
You
next
know,
year.
I know. Next year. Yeah. We just booked it.
Okay. We meant to talk about the Lamb and Kid.
So let's go back. So we're at Lamb and Kid, which like I feel like we could. This could be 7 hours. I'm gonna try to keep myself back because I have something to talk about with everything. But I do want to just say, soundbite, all the hype. And I cannot believe I'm saying it because I remember going like,
we don't need to go to L&K.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's nice. I mean, even though I did know it always did look amazing. Like everything that came out of like Lamb and Kid, I was like, those are amazing. But whatever. No, it is amazing. It is amazing. There is something absolutely like incredible. Like, so Sarah, who's the dyer, she reminds me, she's a different personality, but she reminds me of Melissa in this way, in that she has an aesthetic, she has an eye, and so her colors work the same way that Sonder colors, like I think they would all work together in a lot of ways. Like you couldn't go wrong. I feel like with Lamb and Kid, you probably can't go wrong either because they just have the same energy to them. So we go to the Lamb and Kid booth. I think we were like, we're not even necessarily gonna buy anything when we walked in. Like I don't think we were like, let's just check it out.
Did not have like, I was like, maybe. I didn't go in with a plan.
Yeah. And there are samples, and I mean, just like, oh God, Jackie Rose was there, and Caitlin, and like, you know, like it's like, oh man, that was.
We're
just
not
going to
be able to name everybody.
Everything.
We're not going to be able to name everybody, so I just want to name that. I couldn't try. I can't remember, but like.
So what an amazing moment!
It was
like,
an amazing
just
moment.
Time, which is why we spent 3 hours there and didn't go anywhere else.
Yeah,
but. Carmen, really fast, just what happened? So we decided there was a sweater that
there's a sample
Lily and Jackie and I all loved, and funny enough, so it's the Instant Crush. Whoa, like 20 minutes. There you go. Instant Crush by Joji Locatelli. I bought this pattern actually when she first released it. And I was like, knits about fall or something. It was a package.
It was a collection.
And I bought the whole thing. Now, Instant Crush, actually, funny enough, the song Instant Crush, I didn't realize she named it after this, but the song by Daft Punk is one of my favorite songs.
It's named after the Daft Punk song?
Yes! You didn't read the like beginning of the thing? That's so surprising. Usually I wouldn't read it, but when I pulled out the pattern and I was reading at the top, she was saying it was because of, and I'm like, oh, like that is one of my absolute, like if I had only one song, like Desert Island kind of thing, like that would be one of the contenders. Anyway, so I already wanted to knit this, and then Lily, and then we're like, well, now we can like spend time making our color palettes together, which I think in some ways is one of the major parts of this. As you'll see, the sweater is incredible, but also just that like Lily's there, you're there, Jackie Rose is there, Sarah, like they all like were part. I don't think Caitlin was there at that point. She must have gone somewhere else, but there was like, it was a co-creation again of art.
It also took us like an hour.
It took us an hour. Well, yes.
Like we were there for like an hour.
And you
playing
have to
with
think
color.
about who you are, but then how it changed. So the original colors that I had, the one I went with was slightly different because of you two. Because I had 5 colors I was choosing, and you guys were like these 4, and I would have done a different 4. Anyway, is that enough? Is that enough of like a?
So the Instant Crush by Hopi Locatelli, it is in the pattern. It's Mohair held double, and what we ended up with at oh my god, at the Lamb & Kid was their Birdie base, which is a 7426 Surrey Alpaca, and we're holding it double. The pattern has 4 different colors. All 3 of us intended to knit size 3. Probably should have actually talked to somebody about yarn amounts in the process of doing this, because all 3 of us are playing the most intense. Well, Lily's done, and she talked about in her recent podcast episode, and she did some very serious. She stretched her yarn in a particular way. Carmen is in the middle of Yarn Chicken. I'm in the middle of Yarn Chicken.
Yeah.
Oh, are we gonna put these on?
Oh, I don't know. I felt like I could at least. Okay, so you can see I'm not done. The ribbing has to be here. This is the Yarn Chicken problem. I thought the problem was going to be in the brown. Turns out I've got loads of the brown. That one's not going to be an issue. So I'm going to be able to do the ribbing fully. But because of this, what we have to think about, if you don't buy, and like, as we were saying, we didn't buy, oh, that looks so good. We didn't buy the appropriate amounts based on the pattern actually. And it was a different, like we used Surrey instead of Mohair, like all of this stuff. Look how cute we look.
I'm just gonna
talk about Christmas baubles.
Yeah. This is our holiday outfit.
Yes. So what we each bought 2 skeins of the main color and then 1 skein each of the contrast colors.
Yeah.
Which Sarah had done, I think.
Which was the kit if we were to knit size 1 or 2, which neither of us did.
Oh. So I just followed along with all of this stuff. Like I was like, what?
I don't think at any point I thought about a size, nor did I think about anything. I like somehow at some point somebody in the melee sort of said you need 2 of the main color and one of the contrast color, and then we were just like
picking colors, not thinking.
Like it was just like handfuls of like this one or 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 this. I can't believe how different it looks.
You think it does? I don't think.
Is this the same color?
Oh,
did we get the same color?
We did get this. You're right. Yours looks a lot darker than mine.
I know.
Huh. I can see it color, right? Combos and stuff. I will say, Lily commented on this too in her, so you can check out her podcast. We'll link it, and you can see hers. But she was talking about how like the fit, like this is my first Hopi Locatelli sweater, and it will not be my last. Like I actually am like this. So if you remember my like long, I can't believe I had that big dolman sleeve. This is Carmen. Like, really fitted. But okay, so of course the problem here is that it's in the contrast colors, right? Like what you end up with. So what I ended up doing, this is way too much blue. Like I'm almost done with the blue. So I've had to like,
did you modify the pattern?
I did only, okay,
yeah.
So you can see here, it should go straight into the blue. I had to make that a pink, and then I still had the blue, and then I did this yellow, and now I'm at here, which I think I'm good with the sleeves, but
sleeves are gorgeous.
So what I think I'm gonna have to do here, because I then started weighing it all out, is that I'm not gonna have enough blue. Actually, I can show you. So tiny. This is all I've got to do the sleeve here. But because I was starting using the other colors, no, look at it. I'm like, oh God, what am I gonna do? So what I think I'm gonna have to rip, talking about what we were talking about before, I'm gonna have to rip this back. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be able to get enough blue, but the yellow,
Miel.
as you see, I still have to like, I've done that one, so I still have to do this one and this one.
Oh,
this pink.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I need to buy yarn. I'm in the same situation as you. I'm just like, there's no way. It's not happening. I have to buy yarn.
But it's so close. It's so close.
Also, can we take a moment to just appreciate how genius this color combination is?
Oh, I think both, but thanks.
But like,
I do love it.
it's so beautiful.
Thank you. I'm very, very happy with it.
Because what you don't realize is not only do you have to, like, first, there's the, like, putting together 4 colors, which, like, you know, I can put together 4 grays, but putting together 4 colors is like a lot. And you're in, like, the biggest candy store in the entire world because there's so many different options. There's so many ways you can go with it. And then there's, like, placement choices.
Yes.
There's, like, what colors go with what colors. And, like, I mean, I don't know what the dye lots were, but we pulled this, this brown is Caffe. It's the same color.
I know. Oh,
like,
we're doing that thing again where we line up with the, like, it makes me feel like we're in the wrong. It's weird. Like 2 screens. Do you see those people? That's better.
We're not together in real life. We just.
Sorry, distraction.
Do you see this? I can't.
I can't. That's
now
funny.
I feel
When
like
we line up exactly this way, it looks
like
now
a split screen.
like, yeah.
Optical illusion. But it, like, the choice that you make around color changes the color.
It does.
Like,
absolutely.
It's so
It
wild.
does. And as I was doing it too, I started like rethink. I'm like, oh, you know, did I want the, you know, the yellow with the brown? Luckily it was later because I really liked the yellow with the pink, but that didn't happen until down here. And I was worried that it wouldn't even happen. Like it is, there's a lot of thought that goes into it. And at the same time, this is what I'm talking about with color palettes, right? Like that I do think they work like Lamb and Kid because of all the different, like I think that most of it would work, even though you'll see in Lily's version, hers I feel like is very different from mine, but also has this really beautiful, like they're all connected, they work.
Yeah.
Even though we have 2 of the same colors actually, almost
Lily
3.
has the same main color, and
brown.
she has the Miel, and then
And
she
the
has a
blue.
light blue, but
Yeah.
her light blue is this one, which is frayed jeans, and yours is. Yeah.
But isn't that funny that we would have, but you can go look and it's very different.
Yeah.
Like her sweater.
Yeah.
I really, it's a very soft.
The fabric it makes, right? So like whether, you know, whether you can get to the Lamb and Kid, or buy one of their kits or have like, they were so like they were the people, like the kids,
God.
Sarah, everyone who was helping out there, like Jackie, they were just gems of knowledge. And also all of you who were at the booth, who, this is the other thing that I love about, that I loved about the experience of Rhinebeck. It was like completely encouraged for you to just like comment on a stranger's choice.
Yes.
Like I was very good with that. I'm sure that someone was like, who is this chick who's behind me talking to me who I don't know?
I always
but like
that.
I was very happy.
Tell me your honest opinion.
with the folks who you know, who we were putting stuff together, and there would be like, oh, I love that. I don't think anybody said anything negative. No. I think people just, you could see the responses that people had, and that would, you know, feed into the creative process.
Yes.
I don't remember. Oh, so this, whether you end up at the Lamb and Kid, like working with one of their mystery kits or like putting something together online, or not, you can also make this out of any sort of Surrey alpaca held double, right?
Yes,
so like
and mohair,
mohair held double. But what I wanted to, this is what I wanted to say: the Surrey, the fabric that this makes.
Oh my God.
The fabric that this makes And it's also perfect for color work.
I'm gonna let that we both have our sleeves. And we both started
Hey, we
the
both
same
did the same
sleeves.
time.
I know. I actually am like, sorry, I'm interrupting, but I'm like, I really like that. But yes, this Surrey, full out Surrey, Surrey held double, then color work. So it's 4 strands of Surrey.
But it's just, it makes them, like, I could wear this, like, every color work sweater. I feel like I want every color work sweater in this, in this combination, because it is like wearing a kitten.
It is. My kids often like will be like, especially my son, if I'm hugging him, he'll be like, that's scratchy. Like he doesn't like wool. And I put this on and he goes, oh, Mom. And he's like, and then he starts hugging me and he's like, oh, I love this. So
oh my gosh.
It's amazing. And I will say, I'm not overheating. I feel like this feels cooler than mohair for me. And maybe everybody's different.
You know, I'm not actually thought about that. I also haven't actually spent a ton of time wearing it. This is like my first.
This is the longest I've spent.
This is the longest I've spent with it on.
But I was already hot with
the other one.
It is so
delicious.
It is so.
And maybe, I don't know if it's just like the one arm situation, but I am cooler in this than I was when I was wearing the mohair.
That's what I mean. Mohair. Yeah, like I feel like it's, and this is 4 strands. So
I know, because it's
you
like.
Would think.
Okay, so pattern wise, it's a great, it's interesting because it's raglan. A lot of like colorwork sweaters are round yokes. It's all over color work, and you're only ever working with 2 colors at the same time. Like you have a main color and a contrast color. So that's also really pleasant. The like distance of the floats, I didn't catch any of my floats. The maximum distance is like 7 stitches. And I think the other thing about sort of Surrey alpaca is that it is like, it's fluffy, and so it's forgiving in terms of like making your color work look good. And then also if you're not catching floats, because it's fluffy, it kind of will start to meld together anyhow. So I just didn't do any of that. And it's also a pattern where it's easy to read where you are. So, you know, there are some color work patterns where like if I don't put like a stitch marker or like something to know like where I am in the pattern, like either like reading the chart like washi tape style, or when you're actually knitting it, like, you know how like there are other, I can't remember off the top of my head, but there are other color work patterns where you can get off a stitch and not really realize that you're off a stitch until you kind of get all the way to the other round. Like the way that this one is, like, you'll know. Like I tinked back a couple of times because you look down, you're like, oh, I'm off because of the like geometric nature of it. Our gauge is really different. Your gauge is much smaller. I like your small gauge. That's right.
I never even looked.
That's right.
I haven't even still looked.
It's definitely smaller because mine is smaller. My gauge is smaller than the pattern gauge.
You can tell.
And you can tell.
Yours is even smaller than the pattern gauge.
Yeah.
So this is quite fitted, as you can see. I'm like, when I gotta kind of maneuver my way in. But then once it's on, so good. So we'll have to see what ends up happening. I'm just gonna do the sleeve. I'm gonna need some more of that Miel.
So here's what I'll show you. I also ran out. Well, I didn't run out. I knit so mine's not actually in lamb. Well, mine is partially lamb and kid, but it's not actually all lamb and kid. So I knit the body, and then I split everything that I had, like I weighed what I had left, and then went like 50% and then knit down this sleeve. And so I actually started to introduce a mohair in here. It's not double.
Oh, Lily did that too, right?
I introduced a mohair, and I didn't even see a difference. You can tell. So that's the option. I have tons of that mohair if you wanted to use it. Yeah.
Okay, I think I'll do that because I need like just a couple grams.
I like your long cuff. I think I'm gonna rip back.
I do like the long cuff. I like it a lot.
I don't love these squares.
Well, I know I changed the squares too. See,
that's clever.
Yeah,
I need to do some sort of thing.
Because here I had the squares and I didn't like that. So I'm gonna like rip this back and do what I did here to make it more like shorter. And then I went up the pattern. I could even say like which row to get it to, because it's not actually what would normally follow. Like with
that's the other thing that I think is really nice about this pattern is that like you can do a little bit of DIY design because of the way that the geometry works. So like as you figure out like how much yarn you have and like where you want it to sit and all that kind of stuff, like there's the option of making adaptations. Like I also adapted it because I realized as I was knitting with the yarn that I had left, like if I didn't adjust it, then it was gonna end like here or like in some sort of way that I wasn't like really happy with. Like I was like, I wanted to be able to fit one more of like this motif in, so I adjusted in through here, then I mirrored it on the sleeves, all kinds of things. But
yeah, mine's much shorter.
I love yours. I'm not sure about mine.
Really?
I'm not sure about mine on me. I think it'll be better when I have the second sleeve.
Yeah.
But I feel like the stripes are really wide.
Oh, right, because you don't like, yes, we've talked about that.
Yeah, like there's really wide stripes. I think, you know, if I wear it, well, actually, I won't do that. Looking at it, I think it's beautiful.
I think it's beautiful.
Looking at it on me, I'm like, holy Hannah, those are giant stripes. Like I like your small gauge. I also think it's related to the color maybe, but like look how little your stripes are.
They are, but you know what? It's my row gauge.
Your row gauge.
That's the difference, because I look at yours and look at where my second of these lands still above, like my belly button's there. So like, look where yours is.
Yeah. I extended this. I did 2 more rows on this pink.
Oh.
But even because I felt like it was very blocky, and I was planning out how long I wanted it to be. But what I am really proud about is my colors.
Gorgeous.
Because so talking about sort of going to Lamb & Kid and like being in that sort of like shared experience of choosing colors, I actually started with these.
Yes.
This is where I started, which I think is a bit more me.
Definitely.
Right? And and my intention when I knit this the first time, the Caffe was always going to be the main color, and I started to put in the blue, and the moment that I did that, I was like, I can't. Like it was like, I don't know, like there was just something about it. I was like, it is objectively beautiful.
Yeah.
But like I tried it on and it didn't help. Actually, it did help. Here's the like random tangent. I think there was something about like if you were to look at this sweater and like stop here, right? Like just stop here. If you like this sweater, I'm sorry. But
also it was in the round yoke.
It was in a round yoke. But all I could see from here up, which is where I was a donut. Like it was like a chocolate donut I do with the cat.
It's pretty funny. Okay. Well, the cat one, but actually of your
my actual thing? Yeah, okay, let me pull it up.
Because
I was like, this is not the vibe that I want here. This is my first try. Oops.
Oops.
Oh God. Like, is this not a donut? Is it not exactly a freaking donut? And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I can't do this donut. It has blue sprinkles. I'm not about it. It's a donut. Like, it's a donut. And so we have a little, so I'm sending it over to the girls and I'm like, I can't, like, I don't know, like, I made a mistake, like, it's beautiful, it's beautiful, I looked at it, but, like, I feel like a donut, I feel like I'm gonna look like I'm wearing a donut, and Lily was like, who's the gift queen, she's like this donut?
Yeah.
And the moment I looked at this thing, I went, I want to be a pink donut.
I'm gonna do it, so I'm gonna do it.
I was like, I have to, like, I picked this beautiful palette, which was like very neutral. Then this ended up becoming friends with something else in my stash. And so I was like, okay, let me replace this. And again, like, to me,
beautiful.
This is so beautiful.
So beautiful.
It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And it didn't work. I ripped this back, like, I think a whole bunch of times. I tried like this combination. I took this one out. Then I tried this combination. And in the end, I ended up, well, here. So these two are Lamb & Kid colors. This is Caffe, that's Miel. And then I ended up, because of the little cupcake cat, the donut cat, and I love the pink so much, I was like, I have this in my stash. and I've always wanted to like use it. This like beautiful
cute.
coral and the brown. And when I saw these two together, I was like, wonderful. And then I ended up getting this Winterfell from La Bien-Aimée, which is like one of my like, I've always wanted to have this,
Me
but
too.
like haven't encountered it, was daunted by the idea of a sweater's quantity of something that I couldn't see and couldn't touch. So I just had like one skein of Winterfell. And so I added it together and we are like Christmas ornaments. And that's ultimately
this one, Elliot. This one.
This one where I look like your Christmas bauble.
Yeah.
Some patterns, I just think I was like, there's no way that I can make this like it can't go neutral with this.
No.
It can't happen. Like
the whole point of it is
the whole point of it is like the joy and the excitement, and I feel like this knit for me really like was peak Rhinebeck.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It really represents.
Like even though some of my yarn didn't come from Rhinebeck, like
that
just the
matter.
whole experience of it feels like peak Rhinebeck. Like it was like it was intense and like in a good way. There was just like so much, and I'm like, yeah, like this sweater for me is like so much, but I'm like excited about it.
It's
I'm
gorgeous.
I like the colors, and you know.
Oh, that would be
like
so gorgeous. Are you doing it again? No.
Thinking about it.
Are you?
I don't have enough though. I don't have enough. I'd have to get more of this gray. But like, don't you feel like these were meant to be together?
They are. They are.
Like this is why I had
Beautiful.
these three, and then I came home and this when I basically had my Rhinebeck acquisitions meet my existing stash, and when they came together, I was like, there's a love connection. Now I must drop this must be separated from the palette. And like, I don't know if you had the same experience, but one of my favorite things about going to Rhinebeck, creating palettes, and then coming home was allowing like home stash to mingle with like Rhinebeck stuff and sort of see like what it is that ends up actually happening, what ends up falling together. So this I feel like has to be something. I don't know if it's going to be another instant crush, because I feel like this is such a statement piece.
That would be, like we were just saying, can you do this neutral? That is doing a neutral.
Yeah.
Like, that would be so gorgeous, actually. It would be so hard because they're so close together.
I don't know if it'd work. I didn't actually black and white photo it.
No. It? Oh, no. Like, no.
I wouldn't see it.
But you would. So it would be like the tiniest bit. And that actually to me would be really beautiful. Like this it would be a hint of, but you would not. Like,
yeah, you wouldn't see it. And that was the thing. I'm like, we're going to be donuts.
I think you would see it too. I think you would because of the like, again, these like stripes. Your eye starts to look for it, right?
Yeah.
I think you would see it, but it would be very like.
Yeah. This, however, is my holiday sweater if I can get it done before the holidays because it's just so happy and bright.
Well, and the only thing that, you could get it done. So it's actually very fast knit.
Yeah, it is quite fast.
It looks like it wouldn't be, but like these, like, the sleeves took like a day and a half, I think. Like they're really
also
really
the excitement of seeing it. Like again, this is the thing about color work is you're just like next row, next row, next row, and then suddenly you're like,
it's like
there's a real momentum inside of it. Yeah,
I just don't. To be continued, folks.
To be continued. We'll have sleeves.
Oh my God.
And possible. I think I'm gonna rip out part of the sleeve and reconceive these.
Yeah.
I think I might just do all brown. But
yes, then you wouldn't have the problem with the Miel.
Yeah. Instant
To be
crush.
continued.
To be continued.
Instant crush and Hohi Locatelli. Bravo.
Oh my God.
I know, so pretty.
So pretty.
Oh, that was really fun. I'm just thinking about Rhinebeck again.
No.
It really is. And I say that actually not in a way, I know sometimes I'd be like, oh, you know, like going, when you miss something, like it's kind of hard to hear somebody being at a place, but I just want to say like, it wasn't even like it was Rhinebeck, but it has to be Rhinebeck because that's the place that people will all go to, or like a bunch of people will go to, so it needs to be there. But the actual Rhinebeck wasn't like it wasn't about the wool.
No.
At all.
The
first day we didn't even like.
I mean, we went to Woolen Folk and we bought 2 things, and we spent most of Woolen Folk meeting people.
Yes. Yeah.
And talking to people and sharing in fiber excitement. And so, you know, It's an interesting contemplation because, you know, we went to like a local, we went to like the Hamilton Fiber Forge, and we had lots of fun there. What I feel about Rhinebeck is that because it's a weekend, I felt like there wasn't enough time, and I felt like there was a spaciousness in the time that you take with people, the time that you take with like your creativity, which felt different than when we went to the Fiber Forge or when you go to something that's like, you know, because there's lots of here's the thing. At the end of the day, Rhinebeck was beautiful because of the shared experience of community. Yeah. Right? It was the feeling of being able to love what you love with other people who love what you love and love what they love. Like it was just like that piece of it. And I think that's available independent of like going to New York Sheep and Wool. What I think is different though is like if you think about a knit night, and knit night's like 2 or 3 hours. Yeah. Right? Or if you think about a lot of our like local festivals, like when we were at the Fiber Forge, we were there for no more than 2 hours. No. We actually left because we'd already like done it. Like we felt done. Yeah. Right? Like recognizing that there's like 40 vendors and you want everything. But at a certain point, it's like, I was like, my brain can't process anymore like yarn. Yeah. Whereas at Rhinebeck, because it's the weekend, I feel like we took lots of breaks. You know, like New York Sheep and Wool, I think on the Saturday, we didn't even go until like 1 o'clock. Nope. And then we stayed. We were on the hill. We did the hill. We met so many of you. That was fun. And then we sat in your car eating cold pizza and knitting for 2 hours, and then we went back for another hour. Yes, we did. We did do that, right? Like, to be fair, it was raining. And we were hungry. And we had pizza in the car. And we walked back to the car, and then we were like, oh, it's so cozy in here with the pizza. It really was nice. But there was time. Yes, there was time. And there's something like about having the time. And ultimately, we just had like the greatest girls' weekend in upstate New York. And there was fiber, and there were other people who love fiber and like beauty and excitement and all that kind of stuff. Yes. So if Rhinebeck is not local to you, if it's just not something that you've thought about attending, and it's not for everyone, like it was crazy. It was high intensity. Like I'm a like extroverted introvert is I think what we've like decided that I am. Define me for now until tomorrow. But at the end of it, I was like, holy, it was a lot. Like it was a lot. It was amazing. It was a lot. And like when I got home, I was both like, where are the sweaters and the people, like confused in my own house without like you. Without like girlfriends in the house and like us getting dressed in the morning, right? Like those kinds of things. At the same time, I was also like, like there were so many people and it was so busy and all the things. But if that's not your deal, I think that there are ways to have really like the gem of the Rhinebeck experience. Absolutely. Right? Which is like, it's like reach out somewhere where other knitters are. Where they are. Yeah. Yeah. And being willing to like talk to strangers and being willing to like sort of be enthusiastic, like to be you and be enthusiastic with other people and to receive from other people's enthusiasm and also like honor you and honor them. Like there's pieces, and I don't know what that looks like, but Rhinebeck was just like peak that for us. And I really think if we hadn't had this community, if we hadn't like met Lily, if we hadn't had that shared experience, like if I had showed up to Rhinebeck by myself, it would have been different. It would have been different. And I can't speak to what it would be like. It would have been different. But I'm like, bring someone. Bring someone with you, honestly. It's so nice to see everyone with their like yarny besties. Yeah. You can just see. And also like yarn husbands and like kids. Like I know. It was really like we say this a lot, but like go put yourself out there. Yeah. Do it. Right? And the quality, I think, of what you can receive is related to knowing who you are and what environments suit you. Yeah. Right?
But there are options.
But there are options inside of that. Yeah.
It's like, it's a lot of people, but it's also very open. And some places are not.
New York. Yeah. It's very open.
Yes. there are places where it's not open, but I just feel like there are ways that you could navigate it. And if you needed breaks, it's not like being like, you're not trapped. There's like options.
And I think it's, you know, like it's also about honoring who you are. And I think, you know, when I was like watching some of the Rhinebeck recaps, like my brain was hearing about things that other people were doing and thinking to myself like, oh my God, we have to do that next time. Or like, oh my gosh, why didn't we do that? Oh my God, I didn't know about that, because we went with like zero prep. Thank you, Lily, for like taking care of us.
Lily
and like
took us all around.
She took us all around. She knew what was going on. We just like wandered around, bumping into people and fiber, but and sheep. And but like, you know, there's this like feeling of FOMO, this feeling of like, oh, we should do all of the things, right? Like I remember we were as a house talking about, okay, like what are we gonna do on Saturday morning after like Woolfolk Day, which was like a massive intense day, the beautiful knit night that we had that that evening. And it was like, okay, how are we gonna do Rhinebeck on Saturday? Like what time did the fairgrounds open? And I think we collectively decided like, we have the weekend, and we're not gonna like push ourselves to like get up in the morning to like feel like we have to do the entire day, right? Like I think FOMO or feeling like there's a right way to do this, and then like overriding your own like needs is a recipe for not finding the experience like enriching. And so like, yes, knowing yourself and knowing what supports you and what you need, and then like navigating in that way, and not falling into like, I'm only going to Rhinebeck once, and so I have to like hit up all the vendors. I have to like get the things. Like I think us going very lightly was part of how it was such a enjoyable process for us.
And I'm just reflecting on like the differences. I mean, again, the Wool and Folk debacle had all its other things with it, but I will say there was more of a frantic nature of it, like than in Rhinebeck. And I feel like the vendors are very different in Rhinebeck. So I was assuming when I was at Wool and Folk, I just assumed that all of those vendors would also be at Rhinebeck, but they're not actually. So all these like big name things, vendors there aren't that many at the actual New York Sheep and Wool Festival.
There's fewer they're all, like indie
they're much
buyers.
More, and they're much more like farms that are selling their wool. And there is something about that to me that has, there's the intensity, the frantic nature is dialed down, maybe because of the like pastoral, like, you know, like the
landscape,
sheep and feeling the like, but feeling the farmers, feeling the wool, realizing that wool is wool. There's always wool, and not in need of like, I must have this because of this color or these whatever. Or I've seen this sweater. Like when you're near, like when I was at Rhinebeck, it was like, oh, like I will have the things come to me that I'm meant to have, but it doesn't have this like, you know, urgency that I felt like in Wool and Folk did. And partly it was also because it was crazy and you couldn't get anywhere. But there were dyers at Wool and Folk that I never went to. Like I would have loved to go to Wandering Flock, because I remember having like a Zoom call with Geraldine, like right when she started. This was like a few years ago, right? And she was so lovely and I wanted to just meet her, but like that was just wasn't in the cards. So anyway.
I mean, we were just so happy where we were that we didn't go anywhere. It wasn't our intention to just only shop Lamb and Kid.
No.
It wasn't even our intention to shop Lamb and Kid.
It wasn't. We just had so much fun.
We just had so much fun there.
Really fun time.
I think, you know, what's interesting, I mean, it was our first Rhinebeck, so we have nothing to compare it to. But what I appreciate about sort of some of the sort of satellite festivals, so New York Sheep and Wool, the like official festival that happens at the Dutchess County Fairgrounds happens on Saturday and Sunday, and then Friday there's a lot of like sort of satellite events, which I don't actually know the history of them, but when I think about those satellite events, what I think about is the coming together of like small producers.
Yeah.
Right. So we also went to Cake-A-Palooza, which was super fun.
Really
it was
cute.
in the torrential rain at that time, and that let us people, like we snuggle under umbrellas with people. Thank you, Madison. And like went into the tents and sort of stayed in tents longer and got to like literally make friends with people because it was like torrential downpour outside. But what I recognized is it felt to me like it was the coming together of a lot of like really micro small businesses. Not all of them, right? Not all of them, but like when I think about, you know, Lamb and Kid has it's like a small, like it's very much like Sarah and the Kids, right? And they have like massive, sure, they have like a dye lab and production and they're like, they're growing, right? And they have grown so much. But at the end of the day,
they're not Brooklyn Tweed.
Yeah, it's not Brooklyn Tweed.
Yeah.
Right? It's these like micro producers. And so when I was reflecting upon like the urgency, because what I'll say is I went to the Lamb Kid, was like so many colors, loved everything, put palettes together, and both myself and Lily actually like walked away. I was like Lily did it, walked away. When I came back, my original palette was no longer there. Yeah. Right? Because it was just going. And so there's a franticness about it that I think is part and parcel of bringing these like micro producers sort of together. Yeah. Right. And of course we also went towards the second half of the day. So like, you know, stuff had already been bought, but I do want to take some time to talk about.
Yes. I love this one. I brought that one down too, because we just loved it.
So this is the farm yarn that we got from Wool and Folk. Like
I know, look at this.
Look at it. Look at it. Like, look at the sheen.
This is where I met
amazing.
Alex Bird.
This is from Mindful Folk Farm. This is their Phinela Sport. And, you know, this, we met Hannah, who is the shepherdess and the producer of this.
She was lovely.
She was so lovely.
Like, you know, these beings that you're like, we were drawn into that tent. And like, as you said, we walked by many tents, just lost. And like, then just suddenly we're in this tent and we were.
Well, I remember both you and I, we were like walking down like the like little narrow path. And both you and I went, and I went in there and you went, let's go.
That one.
We both went in and we both were like, what's this?
I had no pattern. I'm just like, give me 5.
Yeah, that's basically what we did. It was it's 60% Finn and 40% Mohair. The Mohair is also raised on her farm, I believe in Maine. Hannah, we're sorry. But it was just like that was another peak Rhinebeck experience because like I felt like we got to talk to her and we got to talk about the love of natural fiber. And so she had like this and then she had this like lighter taupier brown and then there was all this like naturally, the other side was like naturally dyed yarn. And you know, none of you will be surprised, I was just like not even looking at that wall. I was just like look, and we had this like really I think meaningful conversation about like appreciating how beautiful undyed fiber is. Yes. And her genius in putting together this like rich chocolate brown and then the mohair that she put in was like a cool gray. Yes. And so I don't know if you can appreciate like how gorgeous it is. But like that for me was a peak experience of like 100%. Getting to connect with her, getting to talk about like hear about her flock and hear a little bit about her process of how she decides to put fleeces together and like this conversation in which she said to us like, you know, like the colors are really beautiful and people really love the colors, but like she's like, I just love this, and I was like, I also just love this. We were like as I'm wearing this sweater, right? Like,
but I bought the same color because that is just like me. Oh, I keep it sitting up on my shelf, like the like 5 of them just sitting there, and I just am like, what am I gonna make?
You know what you're gonna make?
Something amazing.
I have an idea, but
what a shock.
Not yet. But that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing where I feel like, you know, there was a franticness at Wool and Folk. There was also an intimacy at Wool and Folk. Yes. Because really, they're micro producers. Like we went in, and I think there were at that time, by the time we like arrived, we picked this up, and between you and I think we left like 4. Yes. There were like 4 skeins left of this. Yes. We just were like sweater quantities, please. But that's, you know, like that's. It's a urgency that can't be attenuated, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Okay, say that one again.
Like there was an urgency, and I also experienced that a little bit, not so much at Cake-A-Palooza because their structure was way better than their structure at Wool and Folk, but there was this kind of like urgency of having to make decisions at Woolen Folk. Because all of the producers are teeny tiny small,
Okay,
right?
I
And
see
so
what
there's
you're
only
saying.
so much stock because there's only so many
That's right.
fleeces. And there's only, like, that's the case. And that's sort of how I felt at the Lamb and Kid, was the recognition that, like, they brought a ton. But there were so many people who fell in love. And there was an urgency that's about them not having enough product.
Yes.
But if we were talking about, you know, them like quadrupling their production, then it wouldn't be the same experience. Like there was an intimacy to it. Yeah, like the intimacy and the urgency kind of like were the same, like they came together. And I'm not sure that
it's so
like
true.
like spaciousness, better lighting, like all those kinds of things would have, I think, shifted this energy. Like this was Woolen Folk, like the whole thing was like
the whole thing.
But I do think any time you're working with small producers and like one shepherd operations, like, you know, whereas it was interesting to me when we were at New York Sheep and Wool that there were a lot of like farm yarn, but it just seemed like when I was there that it was like, there was like oodles.
Yep.
And so you could go in and take a look and be like, okay, let me like walk away because there's so much more to look at.
Yes.
And I just want to like roll around some pattern ideas or like have a conversation about like, what do you think we could make with that?
Yes.
And you could go back.
Yeah.
Whereas at Woolen Folk, I didn't feel like I knew when I
go
walked
back to
away
that
there was the possibility that if I went back 30 minutes later, it would be done.
Yeah.
Right. But then this was a no-brainer for me. Like this was just a no-brainer. Right. This involved a little more creative play.
Well, because it had to too. Right?
Yeah.
Because that one is just like, I need this. This feels right. That's going to be on my body in some way. No, that's true. We are really into Finn lately, I think.
We're really into brown lately. Yeah. So, all right.
So
I'm glad that we opened this podcast with saying that it was a Rhinebeck recap, because I feel like we've rambled about Rhinebeck and shown people not very much. But we do have finished objects.
We do. Just talking about, do we want to because just talking about Cake-A-Palooza, we so that was where we went to first on the Friday in the morning. Well, we got there I think around noon or something. It was pouring rain, so it was really fun actually, like meeting Rachel Ilsley was there from Unwind Knitwear, which I'd done a bunch of like tests for her like years ago. So it was like I saw her and I was like, oh my god, like it was so nice to like meet her. And so there was all this great stuff. And Chelsea Yarns. Yes, is it Chelsea Yarns? Is it Chelsea Luxe?
Chelsea Luxe Yarns? Chelsea Luxe? I don't actually know.
Yeah. Anyway.
My brain is not doing that.
They were there. Oh my god, Jackie. You can't do this to me. Oh, it's Chelsea Yarns. Because now we know. She was there, and I have to say, we were watching people walking around, and they had this bag. Can you see this bark bag? It's not really coming out. It's like, it's iridescent pink Barbie bag. Oh my god. Anyway, we were both like, well, we're buying something. I don't even care. I don't even know what's there. I'm getting the bag.
I did want to go. I went, like, she was one of the ones that I wanted to see at Cake-A-Palooza because there was a colorway that I had seen that I was like, I think I love that colorway and I wanted to go. And you were like, I just want the bag. And we went.
I did.
Yeah. And
but luckily, I have been really wanting for like a really bright pink hat. Obviously. Anyway, I just got this. It was I think it was her worsted. It was a worsted with a mohair in the same color. This is a pattern that she made herself. Christine, right? Is that her name? Christine, I think. Christina.
Chelsea Luxe worsted. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% baby alpaca. And you held with their mohair. Oh my god, that is the most perfect pink in the entire world. It's so good.
I'm gonna make a little like pom-pom, I think, because I have extra. This was
the actual thing.
Oh yeah, I was thinking. Oh, that's cute too. But yeah, I was thinking of actually doing it because I have more. Mm-hmm. It took about half of those two skeins. I could weigh it up, but
half. Yeah, okay. Oh my god. Maybe you have another hat's quantity.
Oh. Brat. I probably do if I don't make my I could probably do
It's
something
such a
else.
beautiful
I just
pink.
think it's a super cute little hat
What's
too.
the color? What was the colorway? It has a really cute name, like Hot to Trot or something.
It was.
Like that. Is it Hot to
God,
Trot?
you're
Yeah.
so good at this. How do you remember my things? Like, yeah.
Because I want them.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a really fast. I got home from Rhinebeck and I was like, I just want to really make something like really fast. And so this took, you know, like a day, right? And then like I walk around with my little pink hat.
I mean, I need to credit you, Carmen, for everything that you're about to see in terms of my finished objects today, because you had the brilliant idea of saying, like, I'm just going to knit with all my Rhinebeck acquisitions first.
Mm-hmm.
And so I also knit something.
Yay. Whoa! Oh, that's a, oh, this is what you bought!
So I bought,
That's
this is the
Beautiful.
Chelsea's Coop. Again, the same base that 80% superwash merino, 20% baby alpaca, and then the corresponding mohair. And this is the Manhattan hat worsted by Tori Yu.
Beautiful.
And this is, as you will soon see, my favorite hat.
It's really
The
cute.
shaping is amazing. This took because of the ribbing and the folded brim, I ended up using, I think, about like 80% of the worsted skein, and then I have more than half of the mohair. I did actually weigh this morning. 82 grams of the Chelsea Luxe worsted and 19 grams of the mohair. And okay, so we work with a lot of like non-superwash farm yarn, knitted in, unspun, and with not so much superwash. I could work with this base. I don't know if it was the base. I don't know if it's the base plus mohair. Like I didn't work with the base alone, but the whole time I was like, this feels amazing.
It really does.
It feels amazing.
Yes.
It wears amazing.
It's lovely.
And I love speckles. Like, I love speckles, and like the speckles in this,
it is really beautiful.
Her
Is that
color
the same
sense?
colorway that Jackie Rose did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw this colorway on Caddy Jack's Knits. Jackie Rose has like a whole bomber sweater, and then our friend Kristen from Cozy Made Things, she also made a hat, like a ribbed hat, out of this, I don't know, last year or the year before, and I was like, just these speckles and the pink, it's so good.
Cute.
It's so good.
So good.
The color sense is again amazing. And I was really aware of how lucky we were to be able to see things in motion,
Yes.
in the light, sort of, because I mean, I have been on the website a million times and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's pretty. And then I was there and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, this translates really beautifully, but I'm not sure, like you can see it, but I
think
just,
it does. Well, you're right.
it's
really
pretty
beautiful.
in real life.
It really is.
And it's not pretty
so
there, but like
many
it's just so many little
changes. Like it's
things. Love the shaping on this. Highly recommend this pattern.
I've been wanting to try that pattern. Can I try it on? Which is there sizes for it, or?
So there's sizes, and I knit the adult small.
That'd be small for me. I think I would go maybe a little bit bigger. Cute.
I'll try another one.
Better in yours. Yes. What's this? What's this from? This is from Rhinebeck?
No.
Okay, I was like, ooh, your little tiny head.
But if you do, this is what I've learned how to do with my ribbed hats, because I find, what I don't love about hats sometimes is I tend to knit them too small and then I feel like they're pressing on my forehead. But I realized that if you like stretch the back, then the front gets loose.
Oh.
And then I also feel like it makes the ribbing look like not so stretched out.
I feel like this color does not work on me at all, and it definitely.
Well, I feel like it definitely doesn't work with the thing, but I love this pattern so much.
So cute.
That I knit a hat for my husband.
Oh, cute. Looks cute. That'll fit him? Does he have a small head?
No, he likes a like really tight fit, and I also haven't blocked this, and I found that it does stretch.
That makes sense with the ribbing.
So this is like, you see how Rhinebeck like made me a colorful person though? Because I also love this. This is BFL fingering from our friend Britt, Crux Fibres.
Oh, cool.
In the colorway Electric Boogaloo. And this my husband saw and was like, I freaking love that color and I need that color.
That's
and
so cute.
I knit it for him. And Well, it's such an enjoyable thing, and because it's like worsted, it's fairly
fast.
quick.
It's fast.
But I kind of am obsessed with this color combo. I don't know if it
looks
works
good on you. It looks good on you. It looks horrible on me.
Well, I feel like we need to get you in a different sweater because
but
this also doesn't go.
But I got all like wan when I put that on, like, you know.
I feel that way about Caffe, so I'm not sure if it works for me. But it's really, you know what's really interesting? You and I are the same season.
I know.
But really, we have very like
complexions.
But like, to me, it's an interesting sort of thing to even, like, all frameworks work until they don't work.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of stuff that look good on both of us.
Yes.
And then there are things that I think like work better on one than another, even though we're like technically the same season and even in the same like sub-season. But I wanted to talk about pooling because this is new to me, right? I don't normally work with hand-dyed yarn. And the way that this pool to me is gorgeous. Like, I can see how people, like, I think if it was a whole garment, I probably maybe like wouldn't be so happy about this, but it just looks like the Aurora Borealis to me.
Oh, it does.
Which makes me happy
really
because
cool,
I think about Brit, it's coming from the Yukon. And when my husband saw the colorway, he was like, I mean, he is wool sensitive and also gets very, very hot. So I typically don't knit for him because if I knit him a sweater, like he has merino sweaters and he doesn't wear them because he gets too hot. So I don't typically knit for him. And I'm glad that, you know, he's 6'2.5". Like, I'm okay to not knit sweaters for him. But he saw this colorway, which I bought a little bit on a whim because I was just like, look how fun. And he was like, it reminded him of like lichen.
Oh,
and midnight.
How poetic he is.
And he was like, ooh, can you make me something out of that? And so it's fingering. I held fingering double. I used like 98 grams. That's how I got it to like worsted.
Interesting.
And I didn't do any management. Like,
That
this is
amazing.
Literally how it worked out. And I thought to myself, like, how gorgeous is that?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, you can't make that so beautiful. Like, Brit, like, how did you do this? That it worked out so beautifully.
Well, the fact that you held it double, though, like, it makes me feel like that was just I don't even know if Brit would say, like, she could have made, you know, because it's one thing if you dye it in a certain way and you're holding it single, you can have some control. Yeah. But if you're like holding double, like.
Yeah, I just like skeined it up and then one from and then I like picked it up I took like the middle strand and the outer strand and I just like held it double. But
I
for
think that was
those
just
of you,
the universe.
The other thing that I'll say is, like, if you have a single skein of fingering weight yarn, like the Manhattan Hat, like worsted, I'd knit the adult small. I think it's a great option for your single skein.
How long?
Fingerings.
How much extra did you have, or was it just at the end of it? Because I feel like I need that a little bit bigger.
I did 9. I ended up using 98 grams, but here's what I'll say. I find that with rib hats, they stretch out over time. Yeah. And so I tend to knit them a lot tighter. And what I do for this folded brim, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it here. So I knit this I'm a loose knitter. I knit this on most of this on a US 4. But this little section, you can see my end. The section where the brim actually like touches your head. Mm-hmm. I knit that section on a US 3. Oh. So that it's like this part of the brim is like tighter, so that if it stretches out, like, it's okay, right? But I think I actually did knit that section, probably it's like on a US 3 from like here to here. Mm-hmm. So I think that if you weren't knitting it, like, I intentionally made it small and tight. Right. And that would take more yarn. So I think on average, and then also you and I have talked about how, like, we have tall heads. This is taller than than is outlined in the pattern. So it depends on like how you want to wear your hat. Like, you'll see that there's like tons of space. Yeah. And I did weigh this and can maybe make a note on my Ravelry so that you can figure out where you need to start the crown shaping to finish the skein, because I weighed as I went on this one to figure out like how much yardage did I use from like this for the body and how much yardage did I use for the crown, so you could reverse Like if you weighed it and you had like 100 grams, you would know, okay, I need to save like this many grams to do the crown shaping. And it's like proportionate, right? It's not the same. You won't have the same gauge as me, but you'll know where to run out. So if that would be helpful, I can give that number. Nice. But it's a great use of a single,
it's beautiful.
Those like souvenir, souvenir things, and great gift knit because it's ribbed. And so I do think, like, generally speaking, did you see the thought bubble that just exploded over her head?
Ribbed. I was actually like, yeah, it would have to be somebody I really
loved.
I don't like ribbing.
Yeah, but
these are very cute.
They're my hats.
What's those ones? What's that one over there too?
Oh, I went on a
hat.
Other ones? They're just other ones. So I also knit the Manhattan hat. Like, see the speckle, the color thing. I came back from Rhinebeck and I was like, I want all the colors. So this.
Oh, that's the beanie one or whatever.
This is the Manhattan hat worsted, same pattern.
Yeah, but without
the folded brim. This one I knit out of Bramble Ridge, Megan's sock, which is an 85% super wash, 15% nylon. I loved this colorway. It was called Graffiti, and I bought it at a time that I thought I would become a sock knitter, and then quickly realized I'm not a sock knitter. But that one skein, I don't think it's a yet. I've tried. I really like handmade socks. It's no fun. It's not fun for me for now. Who knows?
I've heard this before.
But one skein of DK sock got me
cute
the hat without the brim, because my intention was looking at all of these like things in my stash that, you know, are not going to become a garment. I wanted to work with them, and that hat pattern I feel like is just going to become the hat pattern. So I tried it in like a fingering, and I tried it in a DK. I held the DK double to get like a little one.
Very cute.
And the color is so fun. Speckles are amazing.
I feel like this is like in hats. I want to try that one too.
Yeah.
In hats is where you can feel a little bit more like, you know, able to
play.
Little tiny head. That doesn't work for me.
You don't think so?
No, I feel like it's like, it doesn't work for me.
Like
My
the head shape.
Cone heady.
But yeah. I mean, well, you don't have a cone head, but the way that the shaping is.
I look like something else. We'll just leave it there.
Just leave it there. Did your head go where our head goes?
Especially when
yeah. A little, yeah. You need to find the right amount of space on the top. But yeah. Color fun.
Ooh,
speckle fun.
This. Gorgeous.
I think so the Toriu has this pattern. She has like a worsted version, a bulky version. I'm trying to figure out if she has a fingering weight version. That said, I just bought the worsted pattern, and because it's sized for like children all the way to like an adult, I think large, or maybe an adult extra large, like I worked with the same pattern and used 3 different weight yarns.
Right.
And super interesting is I actually cast on the same number of stitches for each of them and used the same needle sizes for each of them. And it seemed to work out, because I do think the reason why a ribbed hat is the perfect gift knit is because it will accommodate even, and you know, I haven't blocked any of these, so it's possible for you that if I like blocked it, it actually would fit your head in a way that you like.
My big
Do you like a loose hat?
I think sometimes.
Like, see, this is
cutie. I do like kind of a loose hat.
Like for you, you like a slouchy. Oh my god, that's such a good color. Is it possible that this is the perfect pink for anybody?
Yes.
Because I
love that.
I love pink. I don't find that pink often, like there are certain pinks that I feel like aren't good on my coloring, but like this is a good pink.
But this is a full out winter.
This is like a good pink.
True winter color, right?
Yeah,
like it's so saturated.
Good. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Look at these beautiful crown increases.
Lip gloss or something. Like their lip balm. My lips are all dry.
Okay, what else is there?
Well, yeah, what else is there?
Oh.
What is this?
Well, I just showed like 4 items.
Well, show this one.
Okay, show this one.
It's gorgeous.
This
is
end my Rhinebeck conversation. Yeah, this
absolutely. Oh, like actually, this is the best stitch definition I've seen for this sweater.
Really?
Yes, personally.
Okay, so this is a. Hang on, I'm like tucking.
While you're doing this,
this is so fun. Lip balm.
Yes, because my lips are drying out.
Do you need a drink of water? Do you need to get a snack? Because we're just gonna leave you.
Are we both leaving? I can wait.
No, go.
I kind of want to make some tea.
So this is the stick season.
Oh my god, it's so gorgeous.
Rebecca Clow, created by a podcast. This was a sweater that when I saw on her podcast as it was coming out, I thought, oh my god, this sweater is absolutely gorgeous and I don't need it. And then we went to Rhinebeck and saw this sweater on people. And I was like, oh, I think that I need it. And then Lily, who we were staying with, had finished hers, which she knit in the most perfect yarn choice, in my opinion. She knit it in a oatmeal tweed from Isaiah. And I got to try it on. So like, I remember it was like Friday and we saw a bunch of stick seasons, and like there was even the opportunity to go to the Explorer Knits booth to get the colorways that she had created, that Allie from Explorer Knits had created for this sweater. Like there were a couple people who had, the pattern wasn't out yet, but I think there were a couple people who had tested it. Yeah. And so I was seeing it, like we saw Rebecca and with Aimee Palco, and I saw her wearing hers, and I was like, it's gorgeous. And I don't need it. And then Lily pulled out her like neutral with the tweed, and I was like, oh God, I need it. Have it. So then this is another one of like peak Rhinebeck memory, is that we then spent Saturday and Sunday at New York Sheep and Wool on the hunt for like the farm yarn for my stick sweater. And it actually wasn't until I was like prepping this morning, making notes, that I realized like this sweater is like so on the nose for like stick season. So can I grab this?
Yes, of course.
I just want to make sure that I'm saying this right. So this is farm yarn. This is from Boreal Orchards, which is based in Pennsylvania. They are 5th generation farm. And so it's like orchards, okay? Stick season, it's orchard. The colorway is willow, which is one of my absolute favorite trees. And the definition of the like little sticks.
I think it's the best definition I've seen, and that same
it's
gorgeous.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
And this detail.
This back detail, which is what everybody who talks about, it's like, it's so good. The ribbing continues down the side. The fit of this, it's as a drop shoulder. It's beautiful. It is so good. So I knit the pattern almost to pattern. What I didn't do.
Whoa.
What?
Skirt.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened?
Turtle Dove cardigan. This one, rare, but I think I'm finding my designers.
Well, there we go.
Right. What I did differently was I was playing a little bit of yarn chicken, so I didn't do the folded collar because I was worried that I was going to run out. It turns out that it would be fine. It would have been fine. But I kind of like, I want to talk, I'll get to this part when I talk about the yarn. And then the other thing that I did a little bit differently is I picked up less stitches around the sleeve.
I like that.
So I knit a size, oh no, did I knit a size 3? Yeah, I knit a size 3, and the number of stitches that I picked up for the sleeve were the stitches for size 1, so like the least number of stitches. Part of that is because I knew when I had tried on Lily's, which she knit to pattern and looks amazing on her, I remember trying it on and thinking, like, I like a crop sleeve, a close fitted sleeve, and I remember trying it on and thinking it was beautiful and thinking that the sleeve looked billowy on me. I think it looks perfect on Lily, but it looked billowy on me. And part of different this, bodies. We've talked about this before, like I'm petite, and so like a big sleeve I feel like doesn't go so well in terms of proportions for my body. Those are the only 2 modifications that I made. I feel like I need to have a moment. I even tubular cast off everything.
I was just gonna say, because up here too, like, is that bind up or
It's
like
a tubular bind off.
bind up? So we went back. And
so it's a 2x2 rib. Construction wise, you knit the back panel, then you pick up and you do the front, the 2 shoulders, then you join the 2 shoulders, and then you're in the round for the rest of the body. Then you go back and you pick up the collar.
Beautiful.
So I picked up the collar, and in the pattern it's a folded collar, and here I did again 2x2, and then Andrea Mowry has a tutorial of how to set up your 2x2 rib for a tubular cast off. And to me, this is like perfect, cozy stick season fall sweater. Like, I don't know if it gets any more like fall vibes than this.
It's gorgeous. I love it.
I love it. And I just wanted it to be a classic. I was like, this was like the farm yarn that we ran around and like met all the shepherds, and you and me and Lily like talked to them and like just happened to fall in love. It's so interesting how you like, because there's just so much beauty. Yes. And there are some things that you literally feel like drawn into a stall, right? And it was interesting because we went in and looked at the yarn, thought the yarn was gorgeous. And then we like walked around, and we like walked around. You abducted your sheep.
I held a sheep.
Held a sheep for like,
not a lamb.
For like an hour.
It was like 20 minutes, but my like, my arms were shaking.
Go to her Instagram and meet Diva and look at her just like,
you will see the love. You will see the absolute like adoration.
But like, you know, we had met the Diva Shepherdess and had the conversation with the Santa Cruz sheep, and I was just like full on like fiber and yarn happiness. Yep. And we had gone to the stall. Like, this is why I say bring a friend, because your friends will make decisions for you that are great decisions when extrovert and introvert is just like done and can't make any decisions. And they were like, okay, are you gonna go back and get that and get the yarn? I'm like, I think I'm okay. I think it's fine. Like, I think I'm okay. And they're like, are you sure? And we went back, and I ended up with 2 sweaters quantities.
And I ended up with 1 too.
Right? This yarn, this is my desert island yarn.
Yeah?
Like, I have knit, like, we've been exposed to a lot of yarn. I think all of you are aware that my favorite yarn in the entire world up until this point is Newtonen. Yeah. And, you know, I like leave my Newtonen land and I just go back to Newtonen. And this is yarn that I think, like, if I had to go to a desert island and you put a skein of this and a skein of Newtonen, I would not know what to do. I love this yarn. So it's a CVM Rommeldale blend. I looked up sort of the history of it. It's actually a threatened sheep breed. It's like a conservancy breed, and it is what you get like way back. They crossed a Rambouillet with a Romney, which I'm like, okay, well, I can kind of understand like why it is that I would like it, but this yarn is so squishy. I can't explain. I've never had something like this running through my fingers before. You know, and I've worked with a fair amount, like and I've like spun a fair amount. There is nothing like this, and I don't know if it's just I love CVM Rommeldale or if it's this.
The energy of this
farm and like the way that they spun it. It's a 2-ply. I believe that it's woolen.
Look at the comparison of the. So see, that one just stays, right?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that amazing?
Yeah. It just is like, okay, so I don't know how to describe it. It's not crispy. It's not dry. I don't actually know if it's high lanolin, but like it has that like, it's like a good olive oil.
That's what Lily said too when she did it with this.
And it has the perfect amount of spring. Like, okay, if we even don't, like this part is rib, but like look how much it'll.
Oh my god!
Like, and this is somebody who likes a lot of drape. It's super light.
It is though drapey, even with its springiness.
Drapey and springy, and the stitch definition is amazing.
Gorgeous.
It was just under 300 grams for this. I used 3 skeins. It feels so light. It's so warm. I feel like it's gonna be really hard wearing. It is amazing, and Rebecca, who like. You know, is such a prolific designer, and like how she, you know, how her designing has exploded. The fit on this is, I've knit a lot of drop shoulder things, and I didn't think drop shoulder was my like fit, but the fit on this, I don't know what it is. It's perfect. That back detail, how much drop there is.
I love it.
It's just so good. There were a couple things that she does that I've not done before, like this. The sleeve has a particular way of shaping that I think is related to why I like the fit of it. Like the ratio of however this is working out. I knit it like 2 gauge.
Does anyone else want to like cast this on like immediately?
Like,
I feel like I need to make it.
It's so good.
I have like, oh no, we have a different, mine's a little darker. Okay.
Yeah, so this one is Willow. They also have a colorway called Maple. This is available to buy online. I'm so, like, it's so rare actually that I come and show a finished object and I'm like, and you can have it too, and you can have it too.
Oh, that's what I mean.
So Carmen, you got yours in walnut.
Walnut, yes.
So I also have another sweater's quantity of this walnut, and I don't know, I'm auditioning patterns, but it's like buy a skein and knit a hat. Just like this yarn is incredible. And now I'm like, okay, I need to find the like Canadian CVM raw model producers to sort of see if in fact this is my favorite breed in the world. And it's just something about me. And of course, every farm yarn is unique because fleeces are unique, but I'm really curious because I could work with this yarn forever.
Oh my gosh.
You want to try it on?
Of course, thank you for saying, because I was about to say it. I must now. I'm gonna try not to lose.
How many times have you stabbed yourself with your
I haven't stabbed it yet. I've been noticing the stitches just coming all out. Like, yeah, I'm just like, oh, are you all gone now? Whoa. It's okay, it's knitting, right? We can fix it up. Pull up my stuff underneath here. Oh.
This one or this one?
Whoa. What's the question? They're both gorgeous. Uh-oh. How do I know which? Is it this one?
Yeah. The rib detail will tell you what the back is.
Oh, right. Of course it would.
Oh my God, Carmen. So you need length. Do you need length?
Do I need more length?
I don't know. Probably not.
Like, I mean, as I say, this is what I mean. I've got a long torso.
Carmen.
Oh. Yes.
Like, yes. Everybody needs a stick season also.
Apparently. And you actually did it to pattern.
I did exactly to pattern.
So like I actually can know that this would work. Oh.
Tell me about how the wool feels to you.
It feels delightful. It is, I see what you mean in terms of the like, so I can feel the structure. It's interesting. I can feel the structure of the pattern, that it holds it. Like, so that's that like springiness. Like it's not just, if it was just drapey, I wouldn't feel all these parts.
Yeah. But somehow to me, it's like light and it's drapey.
It's very
and it
light.
Moves. And it has
really
definitely like
nice.
stitch definition. Like
I just feel like it's hugging me.
Ooh.
I'm like, and I don't know, is that the texture also?
I wonder about that. I wonder if part of the fit is brilliant because I remember I knit a Junko Okamoto pattern, the bright sweater, that has ribbing through here. And like everybody says this knit fits perfectly. I'm like, well, yes, because it's ribbing. And so it's gonna find the right sort of things. But Rebecca I think she's knitting a stickless one. So the sticks are this like textured rib pattern, which was super fun and very Moorish. And I'd be interested to sort of see how the fit lands on that.
Yes.
For me, this is just perfect sweater, yarn, memory combo.
I love it. This is the perfect throw on in the fall, winter, right? Like when you just like, and we've talked about this too, the sweaters that I reach for the most, this would be one of them, right? It's the one that you're just going to throw over jeans, like, you know, you're going off and doing something and like, it's a neutral that just goes with everything. It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. It looks so good on you. That color looks really good.
I know, this does look, too bad I didn't buy that one, but I think the dark will be good.
I wonder,
this
was my thing around here,
like,
right?
It's
like,
I'll see it.
I don't know. It's interesting because I feel like when I look at it on screen,
Can't see
I
it
don't
as
know
well.
if the stitch definition is as good on screen as
You
like,
can't see it, but
in
trust
real
me,
life.
in real life, it's the most I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like Lily's was so perfect, and this one I feel has even more definition. Maybe because I don't know. It's just
I don't know. I feel like it's friggin' from an orchard, and the name is Willow, and your other option is walnut or maple.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Pretty
The
good.
stick season sweater.
Well done. All right, so what? Oh, yes, okay. You're like, I don't want to talk for a second. Okay, this is going to be a fast one because we have talked about this one, but it's done. It's done. This took me a week and a half.
The yoke.
This. I can't even. Like, it was like size 2 needles, 2.75 millimeter, I think. Like, just forever. But it is so cute. So I will put this on so that you can see. Whoa.
I feel like we need to talk about how this West wool, but what bicycle is it called?
Yeah,
bicycle.
it's bicycle.
Is the freaking most amazing. Is it sport weight?
It is
fingering.
It's
So let me
fingering.
look
And
it
then
up.
they have a DK as well. And it's non-superwash, but for those who want to get into non-superwash, but want kind of a superwash feel, this is perfection.
This is another thing that's going on my list of wanting to knit with because of how amazing that wool feels.
It is absolutely amazing.
Okay, it is
I love it.
100% museling free South American merino wool, fingering weight, and it's like, I remember when I picked it up last time when it was just a yoke, and I was already like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
My hands are really curious. And then now to feel it in the stockinette.
In the stockinette, having
my
blocked it,
God.
it is soft. It is soft with structure.
Yes. And it like has a little bit of bounce.
It has bounce, but
The
draped
stitch definition for color work is just like,
can we just,
I think I just planned my Rhinebeck sweater for next year.
right? Like, and so, okay, and now, we're just talking about, that was my first, Instant Crush was the first Hohi sweater. This is my first Vera Valimaki sweater, and I was saying to you earlier, it's not gonna be my last. Like, I think that the fit of this is really beautiful.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like I'm wearing some necklaces just like draped around my like
It's the
shoulders,
perfect
and it
raglan for
comes-
you. Like you love this like high up raglan.
Oh yeah, it was a raglan, wasn't it?
Isn't it?
Is it?
Oh, no,
it's
it's
a
not.
round
Sorry,
yoke.
it's
It's a round yoke.
Yeah, it's the perfect round yoke for you, but the raglan depth.
Yes.
It's not raglan depth. What do we call this then if it's not a raglan depth?
What is that called? There is a name
Yoke
for
depth?
that. Yoke depth. Yeah, the yoke
Derp.
depth. That's it. That makes sense.
The depth of your yoke.
What would we call the depth of the yoke? Oh, I know.
Remember when you were like, we've been at this for a year and a half. Like, I got this. Nope. Not today.
No way. No way. So there's not much more to say, I guess. Like, you can go back. I talked a lot about this.
Yeah.
This was the knit I made when I was in the Netherlands this summer. I went to Amsterdam. As an afterthought was like, I almost didn't go to Stephen and Penelope. I was actually like, oh wait, I should get something like I'm in Amsterdam. I should get there must be a yarn store here. And then, yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. I will buy more wool. Oh, and it comes in 50s too.
Yes.
Which is really, so it was cheaper. And actually, okay, so whatever, I'll have to do the math, but I just saw that I have, whatever they call for, I have an entire extra skein, 50, and I have extra of it too, of the one that I was
the
using.
contrast colors.
So I needed one less than
Was in the pattern.
was in the pattern.
Did you crop though? Like, did you knit it smaller than the pattern?
I'm pretty sure, if anything, I would have lengthened it.
Okay.
I usually lengthen, but you know what? Actually, I could.
I see decreases.
Oh, yes, I did. I did decrease it. I was worried. Now that if I did it again, I don't know that I would need to decrease it.
Yeah.
Part of the decreases was also like going around with
you
all
just
the like.
needed to do something and you wanted to do fewer stitches?
I just wanted to do fewer stitches. And I was a bit like, also, is it going to be too big?
Boxy.
So I decreased, I think,
A couple of times.
4 times?
Yeah.
And I did 2 each.
Pair of decreases. Okay.
Yeah. So I would say probably 4 or 5 of those I decreased down. I wanted it to still be, wide.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's so perfect on you. The colors are so perfect.
I really love it.
And I really am on a color work kick, and like everything I'm thinking about in color, and I'm thinking about like multiple color things, like things that are more than 2 colors. And I feel like to work with this wool that is non-superwash merino, that to me is like amazing, in like a palette curated by Stephen West.
Yes.
Like, and the option to buy small quantities rather than sort of 100 grams of fingering weight that you can make an entire hat out of, but you actually only need like a little bit. It's just so genius. And the stitch definition on this is unparalleled.
Lovely. And I mean, it really is quite, as you can see, like, it's
you
quite
have
nice.
Even, like I consider you to be a very even knitter, but like I really notice how good the stitches look in this.
This one feels like a really
whoop-bam.
nice. Yes. If we remember in the actual pattern, this should have little dots in here.
I love how it looks.
I like it though too. The reason was I was with my friend and I didn't look at the pattern. And I was like, that's close enough, right? Or that's what it probably is, and then later.
But like, I also feel like this is giving real like Amsterdam vibes. You know, like this was also like
orange too,
your
right?
Like I feel like it's like this is a bit of like a travel, like it's a capsule of that sort of time. Like all of our knits, I think, hold memories, but I feel like this, when I look at it, I think of it as your like Amsterdam, Netherlands bicycle sweater.
It literally is all of those things. Yeah. And again, this was from line 10. And again, I just didn't mess with perfection. I was like, I saw it and I loved it, and I said, why would I change it? Like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So. And
I remember you were there, and again, it was like that experience of like going in and like working with the wonderful people there who like help, like you did palette play and like, all those kinds of things. And so I think a lot of us, or I'll speak for myself, I was like, I'm going to Cake and I want to get a accessory thing to sort of be souvenir, a memento. I'm like, it might, like, I think there's something about a garment.
Yes.
Right? Like, I'm really delighted that I have like, that we have like 2 Rhinebeck garments.
Yes.
Because it's that like enveloping. And for me, like the memories that are in that and the memories that are in that for you, there's something about a garment that, because it takes time, like I feel like I've been reliving, like the whole time I was knitting it, it was like I was reliving Rhinebeck, right?
Yes.
So thinking about, like your little souvenir thing, or thinking about like your souvenir garment, like your heirloom knit. It's so beautiful. I really want to try it on. I don't know if it's going to fit me because I'm looking at that yoke depth and I'm like, I don't know if it's going to go around my body.
I think you will.
But we can try.
At the same time, like, I need it shorter for me, but I'm still bigger than you so it should, I can't imagine any of my stuff wouldn't fit you. Like, I think the depth wise.
I see what you're saying. Oh, it feels so good.
It does feel so good. Oh, I love this. Oh, beautiful. See? Perfect. Oh my God, Jackie, this looks amazing.
Oh, no. It's funny how the neckline looks very different on me. Or maybe it's just like the shirt that I'm wearing. Just want that shirt out
also,
of the way.
right? Like, so it comes down further on you because of.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting. I think it's beautiful. Yeah. And I feel like it's so beautiful on you. Like, for me, there'd be those little, like, I can already see myself. I wanted to kind of come up here.
It's too wide at the top and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it looks lovely.
Oh, this gray.
Mm-hmm.
It's gray.
Yes.
How cute.
It's so pretty.
And also like the
So
bobbliest of all baubles. Can we take a moment to like appreciate how happy these baubles are?
The baubles. Those are we talked about this, but the I-cord baubles. So you're not flipping back and forth, which is nice.
You know, I never would think that this is my color, but somehow this is making me think that I could wear this color.
Which one? The orange?
The orange.
100%.
Like,
why not?
It's so fun.
You need that, like, what's the color in Lemon Kid? It's like boy or something, or they have a really bright orange.
High vis?
Maybe it's high vis. I
don't actually know.
I don't know either.
Oh my god, it's so beautiful.
It's so pretty.
Okay.
So pretty.
I like this one too. I'm running.
Well, I'm gonna steal your stick season then. I'm gonna steal all your ones. That looks really pretty. I feel like this color combo it's very brightening. You know,
yeah,
like
it's a beautiful color combo.
Like it really lightens.
And that's why I think it would be fun to like I don't know, but my guess is that this is dyed on a white base, which gives you sort of a certain like as opposed to I tend to like the like gray based tones.
Yes.
But there is something to be said about something that is on the like whiter, cooler side of things in terms of how fresh it is.
It's so true. As I'm looking at you, I'm thinking about knitting it. Like I'm sitting, I was with my friend Hannah and everything, you know, and knitting this and just going, this is so nice. I remember that.
Right. Memories in our sweaters. Memories in our sweaters.
Actually, speaking of Hannah, maybe I'll talk really quickly.
Talk about that.
So, you know, we are in our like, we aren't just knitting. Well, just knitting would be great. But we have kind of expanded our love of fiber over this past year to not just wool or like not just yarn, but actually spinning yarn, which we both started in January. And that has been an absolute like, yeah, almost.
It was last year's Christmas.
That's right.
Present.
That's right. And like, I mean, my daughter likes to point out the progression of things. So she's like, Mom, you started off by knitting and then you learned how to spin. And now what I'm doing is what's further back from spinning? Well, you got to take a fleece, you got to get the fleece off a sheep and then turn it into something that you can spin. And so my wonderful friends, so Chris, first of all, Chris Dyer out from Garth's Croft Bresse. He has an amazing farm out in Shetland. You can stay there. You can stay at his farm, and he's archaeologist, historian, firefighter, crofter. Farmer and a wonderful human being.
Card looks like a bookmark.
That's right. It's like he's all and he's living up in Shetland, so you can actually go stay with him. We're hoping to plan a thing to get up there, but anyway, Hannah is good friends with him and was visiting Chris, and Chris so generously said, "I'm going to give you a fleece." I'm like, "Well, I'll pay." No, like he just gives me a fleece. Now, if you have watched us, Shetland wool is my favorite. It's my favorite to spin. I think even to knit when I have been knitting with it too. Like it's just, there's something about it that is, it's just me. So Chris sends literally a full fleece with Hannah. And then when I'm over in the Netherlands, I go to visit Hannah in Belgium and take the fleece home. And then that was back in August. But once I got it home, we started talking about like, well, what are we going to do with this though? Because like, you actually have to like, there's stuff and there are tools. Like I could brush it, but even getting, like I had to figure out like, how do you get, because I'll show you.
Did you bring in the fleece?
Here's an example. This has been washed now, but you can see, look at all the stuff inside, like the veggie matter. Our friend Melly, from Melly Knits, who everyone knows because now Andrea Mowry said she's the best, and
if you're a spinner, you should know Melly Knits.
You would know Melly Knits, and you do need to, and she's also just an incredible human being. But we were talking about, I think, first fleeces, like that you want to process, and like what would be good. And it's like, this is not, well, I mean, it's good staple length, but like it is full, like you're supposed to have kind of a clean thing. You want to look for things. There is Shetland all through, all through this. But I love that. Like I'm literally picking things out going, this is like from Shetland. Now, I will say this is not even what it looks like. So, okay, very quickly, you have to wash your fleece. There's a whole process. Melly gave me her rundown. It was awesome. But I messed up with this one in that I shocked it. Meaning you have to like wash it in really, really hot water, and then you like rinse it. You're like wash it, rinse it. But you're supposed to do this all at once. I ended up having a situation with this that I missed. I didn't do it all at once, and so it cooled down. And then I was like, but it was still wet. And I was like, maybe I can just put it in the hot water. But no, you cannot. Don't do that. That's not good. So it got a little bit shocked, but I think I can still, like, so some of it you can see.
Look,
right? But like, do you see? Like,
love
this
you.
is a sheep. Like, you really can see it's a sheep. And guess what? This sheep, you can actually see on my Instagram, this particular sheep. And guess what her name is now? Carmen. And Chris sent me a picture, which is again on my Instagram, of her two lambs, which I'm already coveting. I'm already like, those are mine, right? Like family line. I want those. Anyway, so you take this. You can spin right from here. I mean, if you think about, well, you could, right? Like, so you can like pull this apart and you can just kind of like start spinning it. But it's a lot easier to turn it into what we call a bat. Now, in order to do a bat, you would basically take this and brush it a bunch of times, which would take forever. And actually those cost a lot. Even the brushes cost a lot. So when I went down to Rhinebeck, I was like, I would really like to get a drum carder, which I won't show here, but like it's basically a big brush that's in a wheel kind of thing, 2 wheels. And one takes it under and then brushes it and makes it into this very, very fine floss-like thing. So this is like just the tiniest bit of the processing.
This turns into that?
Well, it turns into that, feel this. It turns into that after much processing. So I do it one time, and then this is 3 times, passing it through 3 times. I'm going to do 2 more to make it really, 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 really fluffy. But it is a very slow process that you sit there and you are like tiny bits of this. Maybe I take it like this. I open it up, like this. I feed it through. It's as it pulls it, it makes this crackly sound. Like it sounds like the ocean too. There's a brush that's on the back. It just goes. It's the most like experientially enjoyable. Like it even more so than knitting. Like it is. You're like with your hand cranking this wheel and all of this like fiber, and it's just like becoming like floss, like candy floss.
Look at it.
Yeah.
Look how beautiful
it's so beautiful.
Look at how this becomes this.
And this becomes this with all these colors. So, I mean, I did with Melly's like suggestion, I like carded it all the first time, and then I tried to kind of like, then I took the different bats that I had and we're combining them, but they're like how consistent it's ending up being.
So
like,
beautiful.
how does it do that?
I wish that you guys could like reach through the screen and hold this thing, because
it is amazing. Now I did about 200 grams to start, and it was so incredible that I could not wait to spin it. Like I actually was like, so I've now moved to processing the rest, but I had to process or spin the first amount. This is one. I've got 2 bobbins of this. I just want you to know, okay, I think I'm going to make a 3-ply. So I'm trying to make it kind of like, well, thin, but I don't know how easily that's coming across. This was the easiest spin I've ever done, and I've spun wonderful things, beautiful bats,
consistent spinner.
but there was nothing like this. And I remember I messaged Melly after, because I'm like, I've spun your gorgeous, like your bats are so much better, like, you know, like, but there was something about my hands knowing this, and she said that's her experience too. Like when you take, it's like, this is a living thing. It's living. It came from something living, but it still has, I think, energy in it.
Yeah,
and
totally.
It's gotten to know me, and I've gotten
really
to know
feel
it. And when I'm spinning it, when I'm processing it, I feel the same way. And when I'm spinning it, it's just me and this wool that's becoming what it's supposed to become. And then I'm going to be able to knit with it on top of it and talk about like an heirloom, like, oh, it's just,
this is like the story upon story, and the meaning and the energy and the love in this is just like tremendous.
It, you know, and talking about people, right? So we've got Chris, we've got Hannah, got Melly with all of her things. The drum carder I ended up buying, I got down at Rhinebeck, and it's from this man. His name's Paul Britton. He's from the UK, and it's like literally Britton is his last name, and he makes them by hand, and like his like craftsmanship and pride in his work, you could just feel it. So I'm talking to him and his wife. They've come over, and like on the bottom of my carder is the number, like I think 6,000 and something, like that's his 6,000th 342 second.
The classic carder is what it was.
Classic
right?
carder, but
classic
yeah,
carder.
Paul Britton. I know there are lots of, you know, as we do with the wheel. I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about the wheel that I got. The carder, I had looked into things, but as soon as I started talking to him, I'm like, this is it, because I know for myself what I really like about it. Like whether it works, I don't know if it's as, like, who knows? I don't know. I have nothing to compare it with. Yeah. This is perfect to me, gorgeous. But even more so is like the story behind it, and that connection I have with him and his wife, and then like doing this, it's just, it feels really nice. Really nice.
It's so, I mean, we love stories, right? Like you and I are in the like business of stories. We love stories, and there was something about it, like just the whole process of this happening, that like is a perfect story.
Yes.
Right. And like it's like life is the story that we want to write, but we don't always get to be the author of. Like we get to be involved in it basically through the process of saying like yes, no, and like not now, or like yes, no, maybe. And it feels like this is such a like this whole thing. Yes. You know,
just came to me.
Just came to you, and the right people and the connections that we made through this community. And you know, I remember we were in that, it wasn't a barn, it was a building at New York Sheep and Wool, and I remember just like sort of witnessing it happen, where I watched you walk over, and I like, we know each other well enough that I knew that's happening, you know, and it just happened. And there was like, I didn't stay because I was like, if I stay, I'm gonna get a drum carder. And I was like, I am not, at that point I was like, nah, fleece processing is not my thing. And I still am staunchly trying to stay in that camp for as long as I possibly can. It's not gonna last. No. But I remember sort of just the electricity of the sort of connection that you made with him.
Yes. Yeah.
And his wife. There was just like, something, you know?
It was like, this is it. This is it. This is my carder.
Oh my God.
This is gonna happen.
This is beautiful.
Isn't it? Like, it's so beautiful.
And I just like, there's so much energy in this.
I know.
There's so much energy. Like I could just hold this. Not only is it like beautiful and soft, but like you can feel there's something about it.
There's like, there is love throughout.
Through the whole thing.
The whole thing, the whole process.
And you know, I remember like you were so generous in sort of like sharing it as it was happening, right? And like you were glowing, like just every you were just like this. It was watching somebody fall in love.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 100%. Oh,
amazing.
It's amazing.
Amazing.
So that also, like, I mean, I'm surprised I have so many finished objects done, because this has also been something I've been doing a lot with. Like, it's just so enjoyable. All I want to do is sit and just like
process your fleece. Oh
yeah.
My gosh.
Highly, highly recommend it. Whoosh.
So beautiful.
I So
I'm looking around.
you are wearing something. Are you wanting to?
Oh, I should probably talk about this because I already put it on.
I was like,
I feel so complete.
oh, I know, me too. But
okay, quickly. Beautiful. This one's quick. This is the Easy Like Sunday Morning sweater. Also Melissa Clulow pattern, which is also free. Did we say that? All the Melissa Clulow patterns are free.
But the lino one is not.
Oh, the lino one is not. The Turtle Dove cardigan is not. But what else was I? Oh, never mind. I didn't actually show that today. Okay, so this is the Easy Like Sunday Morning sweater.
Beautiful.
I knit this in Newton.
What is this gauge? 10?
Like 13?
13.
No, 16. 16. Hang on.
Really?
Hang on. I'm like, you're counting my gauge right now.
I'm like trying to see like as the inch. 1, 2, 3. No, you're like, that's got to be 12, 13. Well,
I think it's close to 14.
Beautiful. This is really gorgeous.
Where's the pattern? So the pattern gauge is 16 by 20. I actually didn't check my gauge. But this is knit and Newton yarn in the colorway Cacophony.
Ooh, so a very old one.
I don't actually remember.
Because if they have English names, they are.
No, I just said it English and it's Swedish. It's like Kafoni. And I just said it in a non-Swedish way because I think it's like within the past year.
Yeah, because then I wouldn't have had it because I'm trying to like use my stash. I can't watch Newton episodes anymore because I know I'm gonna buy. That is beautiful.
And I knit this. This was my like Rhinebeck car knit. Because like it's easy because I had a car knit
I was driving.
And it was like my audition for. I have a sweater's quantity of Sunday Morning DK and Mohair in like the most delightful fuchsia pink, and the like that in my head for whatever reason when I think about that yarn combination. I don't know if I bought it for this pattern, but I bought it for like a Melissa Clulow, like something. So what I know about my gauge in Newton is that with 300 grams, if I knit it on a big gauge, I can get like a cropped sort of sweater. And so this was me trying out, I should have taken trying a different shirt on, but this was me trying out this like portrait neckline. Portrait neckline?
What is a portrait neckline?
I don't know. Either someone said or might have said in the pattern. Where did I pick this up?
I love that.
And trying out this sort of like wider neckline that Melissa has I've noticed that a lot of Melissa's patterns sort of have, or the way that it comes to like sit on her, sits like this, and it looks beautiful on her.
Yes.
Absolutely beautiful, but I wasn't sure if it looked beautiful, like whether I liked it on me. So I wanted to do a trial before I did the mohair because I was like, there's no way I'm ripping it out. So this one is a free pattern. It has raglan shaping. You do a folded over collar, raglan shaping, and then sleeves. And for me, it's so interesting. I'm sure that it's related to yarn choice and just like different bodies and different humans. But when I look at this, it seems sweatshirty to me. Does it seem sweatshirt to you? Like I think of it as like a sweatshirty kind of sweater. Whereas when you look at it in the pattern photos, like, okay, let's show beautiful Melissa.
Oh, beautiful Melissa.
Like, look at how beautiful that is.
I know.
Never angle this correctly. There we go. There's just a certain, again, it's that like elegance in the way that the neckline looks on her. I love this. It's so comfy and cozy. I love the color. Gorgeous. I love how Newton feels on this big gauge.
Yes.
But I don't think I'm gonna knit this collar again. For like, I'm gonna think about another pattern for the Sunday morning.
Yeah.
But in all intents and purposes, you know, all the things I like. It's got deep raglan, 2x2. I did make some modifications to the pattern, so I added short rows to the back.
Oh, there weren't any?
Interesting. I wonder if that would change the neckline.
That would change to the neckline, but I just knew, sort of looking at the finished object photos and also knowing that it was Newton, I was like, Newton like really, really open and low in the back doesn't make sense to me because I'll be too hot and too cold at the same time, right?
Yes.
So I added short rows to the back, and also, again, we've talked about how if I don't put short rows in, then this ends up happening, right? So I find that there are other knits, earlier knits that I have knit without short rows, and it doesn't sort of fit, it won't fall correctly.
Yeah.
And then I also, because I ended up playing a little bit of yarn chicken, it was actually fine. I'd lost one of my balls and I was like, oh my God, I only have like this much left. Turns out it was like underneath the couch, and I actually had an additional like 40 grams, but I was like getting to the end. So
perfect, though.
Ended up putting short rows into the back to lengthen the back. So I put short rows into the ribbing. So that there's a little bit of a high-low.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like.
I love it. I'm also just sitting here like dying with the Newton, like
the colors.
Again, we always say you can't see it, but it's just every stitch has a slightly different color. Oh,
and I think I think blue might be my new favorite color. Like it's funny because if we go like when we were at Rhinebeck and that kind of thing, like when you encounter a palette, I basically always go to the gray.
Yeah.
And
which,
then apparently,
Jackie, if you
it's
blue. It's the grayest blue you could get.
Yeah. But like this, and like my love of window shopping, and like my Euro sweater, like gray blue, like slightly blue gray.
Like I'm like
grays?
blue. Like this is blue.
Yeah, true.
But it's coming.
Yeah. But it just, I mean, there are a couple of things that I won't show just because we're already at 2 hours and 45 minutes. But like, I realized that everything that I've knit almost everything that I've knit in the past like 3 months has been blue.
Interesting.
Just like blue,
I
blue,
love
blue,
how
blue.
that happens.
And then it turns out that apparently everything that I'm going to be knitting in the next 6 months is brown.
Those are basically all the same color. Those really are all the same color.
I really laughed at myself. I'm like, it was like, oh, what did you acquire? And it was like, what have I acquired that isn't Newton in the past like 2 months? Really, Jackie? Like, Jackie?
We have to be us. We have even actually your splash of color.
Like,
oh,
but
I love
yes,
that.
yeah.
Mm.
This is one of those comfort knits, I feel like,
Oh,
and that's my thing. It's like,
actually,
you know,
can I
we've
try
done
that
a
one
lot
on?
of, we've done a lot of like exploration of like sort of different. Like I've been doing a lot of exploration of like different colors, and color work is hands down my favorite thing to knit. But unspun on a big gauge, sweatshirty, like to me there's nothing. This is the texture that when I'm like, ooh, what do I feel like having on my body? That's the texture that I often think about, probably.
Me too.
And that's because I love it, and then I've knit a lot and so on.
But it's these are the ones I reach for.
See, I think that looks amazing on you.
I've got stuff everywhere. Okay.
Oh, Carmen.
Okay.
Oh, Carmen, done.
Done? Is it mine?
Want it?
Yes.
Oh, see the neckline on you looks right. To me, it looks right.
I love it.
It's so good.
It's so pretty. And
it's so
look at Jackie, I'm
good.
changing my mind. I'm changing my mind. I think that looks so nice. I feel like that's a very
that looks so elegant on you.
I agree.
There's like shoulder slopes.
Yes.
You know, like
I think that's the
where's the blog post on shoulder slopes, right? Like how to choose a pattern for your shoulder slopes. Because I do think I don't consider myself as having very slopey shoulders, but the way that portrait sits on me just proportionately to me doesn't look right, but it looks perfect on you.
I don't think you have very slopey shoulders, but I happen to have them very
You have straighter shoulders than I do. Yeah.
So I think that ooh.
But like, look at this line, Carmen. Deep raglan. It's really nice.
This is it. This deep raglan. I am into it.
Deep line. I feel like there's something about, I think, a deep raglan that's cropped and that tapers in
Yeah.
that you like.
Yes.
Like I have a lot of deep raglans that are deep raglans and like long.
They stay.
But for you, you love that shape. It's the same shape of the turtle dove. Oh God, it looks so good.
Oh my God, I actually don't think I'm giving this back.
Yeah, I know.
Just don't think
I
that's
just
happening.
realized that I lost my sweater.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Not
it looks
sorry.
so good on you.
It really does.
It's like at home, like it's,
It feels
it's
right.
at home on your body. Like for me, I looked at it, I took it off the blocking mats. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such a beautiful sweater. And then I put it on and I had one of those moments where I was like, oh, it doesn't really like look the way that I thought it was gonna look on me.
Yeah,
but it looks the way that I thought it was gonna look on you. Apparently I knit Carmen a sweater. Yeah, it was.
Thank you, Jackie.
Such a beautiful
It
color.
really is so, I mean, and it's actually like, so
Who wants to sell me their stash of cacophony?
Seriously.
Who wants to sell
I'll buy it for her. Oh my
that
God,
color
but
is
it's
so
so
nice.
funny.
The fit is so perfect on you though.
It is perfect. I couldn't do it myself. That's why I need to steal yours, because I can't do it myself. Like this is just, it's perfect. I love this whole shape. And I have been missing all the new ones so much, right? So
Yeah.
now it's like, this is what I need to do.
It's
Is
this
just don't buy it and then have you knit
blue
perfect.
lavender gray. And there's rust in it. This is the other piece around that I don't know if like it can be seen on the screen
you're
that I love.
right.
Like this colorway is amazing. And
Oh, I feel elegant.
does anybody want to give me their cacophony?
Yeah, please.
Just send
In
me like
case she
100 plates.
changes
100
her
plates, one
mind
plate.
tonight and is like,
No.
oh,
It's yours.
thank you, Jackie. Merry Christmas.
It looks so good. Like
It does.
you know when it's like that Claire Loon sweater.
Well, this is it. I was like, I couldn't keep
Right?
the
Like,
Claire de Lune.
I can't keep that. It looks
couldn't.
so good on
Yeah.
you.
Sometimes they're just, maybe that's just what it is. They come to us in different places, but they're meant for the other person.
Oh my gosh, it's stunning.
Yeah, it is. So
That needs to go on your list of like things to knit.
yeah, clearly. But I don't know if I can do it. This is what I mean. Like, it's like, based on my measurements, I would probably knit a different size, right? Like I wouldn't, crop it, and that's why I need to steal yours. So there's like no other option.
Yeah.
But I do want to. I'm gonna knit
Oh my
this
god,
one.
it's so beautiful. I'm so happy it looks good on you because I was like, I loved it. I loved how it feels. I love the colorway, and it was like, it was like an 80% project, And now it just went to like 115. Yay!
Well,
okay.
wonderful. I mean, on that note, geez.
On that note,
are we good? I feel good.
I feel really good.
I feel good.
We are planning to be back before the new year.
Yep.
We have a date planned. There might not be that many finished objects. You'll have to be knitting, but I am not gonna. I mean, there's gonna be finished objects, but
I love that we can just have this discussion over
every
and
single
over, and
time.
it's still like, yeah, right.
I'm gonna be like working. I'm gonna be in a
you're
non-knitting
working.
situation.
Yeah.
So there's probably not gonna be that many finished objects, but we still want to come and say hello.
Of course.
This is it happening live. I haven't actually talked to you about it. Actually, I was gonna ask, do we like a year-end roundup? Like, would it be fun to like bring all the things that we like knit? I always think like everybody's seen everything already.
Right.
But I thought that it might be fun because I remember
Yeah,
when Caddy
recap
Jacks
it.
used to do the bingo ball.
Yes.
One of my favorite things about the bingo ball, other than the bingo ball, was the process of like looking at all of the knits like together and sort
It's
of
true.
doing a year and like
Remembering it.
remembering like a story around it. So I don't
And
think
maybe
we'll do like a try on like some people do this, like they try on everything that they've ever knit.
Right.
Will we do try on?
Well, the problem when they do that, they edit.
They edit, yeah.
So you don't have to wait for us to put it
Yeah,
on.
we're not gonna do one of those, but
yeah, it would be good to know because there is a piece of me that's thinking about like what you said when we bring the yarn home from Rhinebeck and then it gets to like meld with the yarn we already have.
Yeah.
In some ways, like we've been doing our sweaters as they've come.
Yeah.
But we haven't had them all
That's
at
what
the
I
same
mean.
time to look at them.
And that it's like I'm imagining like seeing all of them
I
and
like
sort of
that.
being able to sort of see like this was the year of kind of thing. I don't know, would that be interesting for you guys? Would you like to see that?
We'll probably have we'll have
Yeah, we'll have a
something, too.
few like
New
there's
stuff.
I'm looking, there's like, one or two things that I haven't showed that I can show next time. and a couple of whips that are happening. So yeah, there's going to be finished objects.
This is
there's
why
going to be
I
lots of
always do this.
spinning. I feel like I have a lot of spinning stuff to show.
I have a lot of spinning too.
So next episode will be more of the usual chaos, but maybe less like whips and FOs and that kind of thing. Maybe more spinning stuff, maybe some year-end roundup.
Idea.
We don't know. Maybe let us know in the comments, like, if we don't have 10 objects to show you, what would feel good for the end of the year, like.
That's right. And then anything with our Fleur A Long?
Yes.
Because it's going to be the winter solstice.
Yes. So Fleur A Long details in terms of how to enter and our prizes. We'll talk about that on the next episode. That's why we're coming back. I'm just trying to think, do I have a Fleur in here? If this is your first time, I always travel with a Fleur. If this is your first time tuning in, Carmen and I are running a KAL called the Fleur A Long. All the details are in the show notes, and if you like go back, there is an episode that is specifically about the KAL, and you can like go to that chapter. But the Fleur A Long runs until the winter solstice, so December 21st. 21st or 22nd. It'll be in the show notes. And it was this invitation to knit this delightful shawl with these baubles.
Do it. You can get it done even now.
It's just so experientially so worth your time, and it's been so fun to see all the different versions.
It wasn't gonna come up.
Sorry, I parked in your spot. and yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about that, and
But you can enter, it's going to be done. That's when it ends, right? So, and then we'll have prizes and stuff.
And we'll have prizes and stuff that come from that.
Is it finished objects only or whips?
Let's do both. Yeah, you don't need to finish it. So the other thing that I actually thank you for reminding me, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is that there have been some questions from folks about, because the pattern's a triangle and I made a modification for it to be a crescent. So the details for that are on my Ravelry project page. And then there's a section of that where, because I'm not a pattern designer, I could not describe what it is that I did in order to space the baubles. So I'm saying this out loud to you to try and keep myself accountable to recording like a teeny tiny little video where I basically talk through how it is. It's not going to be a tutorial. It's not going to be a tutorial. Where I basically talk through how it is that I figured out how to space the baubles like later in the pattern, because my recipe does not have stitch counts. That said, I really think that anybody can do the crescent mod and just kind of figure it out along the way. The only piece that is is a little bit complex is how much do you care that the baubles in this row line up with the baubles in this row, line up with the baubles in this row. If you really care,
anyway, I don't think it does.
I don't know. Okay. If you really care, which I think in my original it looked like they did, so I just assumed I needed to do it. That's why I lined it up. But it's a free pattern, and there's basically 6 stitches between each bauble. So if you don't care that they line up, then you can just start your baubles when you start your baubles. But what I wanted to do is I wanted the baubles to be symmetrical, so that I didn't end with a ball, I don't know, one bauble ended here and another bauble ended here, for example. Do you know what I mean? So unfortunately, when I wrote the recipe, I didn't actually anticipate that it was gonna be used by anybody, and so I didn't count stitches, and I can't go back and count them. But I will talk about how it is that you can do that in your own way with your own stitch count. And I may have a second recipe for a crescent that's coming that adds that, not fixes, but there are certain things that I love about this, and I also want a different kind of ratioed crescent, and so I'm working on that. That's on my needles, and so that recipe is coming also.
Yahoo!
Yeah. Okay, now we're done.
Are we gonna
at this?
I know, I can't even. I honestly am just now it's my favorite sweater of
beautiful.
all.
You know, this happens.
It does.
I really appreciate that sometimes we knit things and I get your sweater, and I feel like often this There was another sweater that looked like a disaster. Didn't look like a disaster. It didn't look good on me, and you put it on. It was perfect, and I was so happy for it to find a home.
I know.
I'm so happy that it's found a home with you.
We get very lucky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, folks, thank you for being with us. Thank
Yeah.
you for just recapping, like, you know, those of you that we got to meet in person. We enjoyed every second of that, and it also made me realize all of you, in addition, that are out there that we didn't get to see at Rhinebeck.
Yeah.
It's like I felt connected with you as well, because it was this, like, it reminded me of this entire community. So like hugging one person, it was almost like the collective unconscious, like, of our like group, right? Like,
Yeah.
it was like I was like feeling all of you in
Yeah.
those moments. So thank you for listening to us and enjoying
And being here and
just
sharing
being
with
here.
us.
Yeah, and like for us to be able to, like, we feel like you're sitting on the other side of this table,
Yeah.
and if you weren't there, we couldn't do this. So, you know, like, if like we'd be talking just to a camera, but we're not doing that. We're talking to you. So
I think when we were at Rhinebeck, the number of times that we looked at each other and sort of said, like, this experience would not be what it is if it weren't for this podcast.
yes,
How much you guys have encouraged us and like to be ourselves, and the ability to just sort of like move through this world and have relationships in this like fiber space. It wouldn't have happened if we hadn't been received in the way that we have been received by all of you. And so the whole time that I was at Rhinebeck, I was like, this whole experience is because of the podcast. It's because of this community. And so it just means so much that we got to ramble about it and share it and have it because of you. So
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
And we'll see you in a few weeks.
We'll see you
Not
soon.
even that long.
yeah, bye.
Bye.